What's going on, everybody? We welcome you back to LTMB Live. Let the madness begin. We know it's been a while. It's been a minute.
What?
A minute.
Where we at?
Yeah, man. Back on LTMB. Back on the channel, man. We back in business.
LTMB, is it?
LTMB. Yeah, I know it's.
What's your name again, dude?
Will.
Okay.
Will.
Gotta reestablish this.
Yeah, we have to reestablish.
We got to reestablish.
You might have forgot. You might have forgot.
I'm Mike
exactly.
White.
Yeah. As always, but still, might be unfamiliar.
I'm just trying to
2 weeks off. And
make sure this is all real.
Yeah.
The lighting is real. Okay,
Well,
this is all real.
forgotten.
So we're actually here?
We're actually here.
We're
man.
actually here.
Actually
okay.
here. Last week in April, last day in April. Tomorrow's May. But yeah, man, we're back. We know it's been a while. We thought that it would be, last week that we came back, but just some situations have been arising, and with me especially. But
it's an interesting story, man.
Oh, it's interesting.
Yo, like
that's one word I throw on it. If I take like a bird's eye view of it, yeah, interesting would be one of those words. Like, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Actually, in talking to different people, they're like, whoa,
yeah.
I haven't heard about that before.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting story. But I'll probably get to that later on in the show.
The little bit that I know about the story, every time I kind of, parrot it to somebody else, from what you told me, they always have more questions.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's what I get too, man. Talking to people on the phone, they're like, what? Like, but what? Anyway, like I said, I don't want to, just keep, harping on this issue without providing you with the full details. But that'll come later part in the show. We got a show to conduct here, so we're going to get through that. Like I said, it's been a long time. Many things have been happening in these past 2 weeks. Of course, the Muller report has been released, and there's been much talk about that and, what it means, what it could mean, what it doesn't mean, blah, 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 blah.
Barr refusing to testify in front of the House Judiciary Committee.
Correct, yes.
Rosenstein,
yeah.
whatever.
Rod Rosenstein, Deputy Attorney General, is resigning effective May 11th. And he put out a letter to President Trump. I believe he hand-delivered it to President Donald Trump. I guess according to him, this shouldn't come as a surprise because in the letter he states that the average time of service for a Deputy Attorney General is 16 months. So he has done over 24 months.
24. So it was more about like he figured it was his time to go.
Yes.
Really had nothing to do with Trump talking about he wanted to fire him and stuff.
Nah.
I think Rod wants to collect his pension. He doesn't want to end up like McCabe.
Oh yeah.
He wants to collect. He wants to collect his pension.
He wants to actually get out of there. With some
like
money.
me, I really don't want to project too much onto it because I kind of want to wait for it to play out.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I want to wait for it to play out because he's not going to officially step down until like the 11th or something.
11th, yeah.
So I figure I would rather wait until then.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? To see like what all this means.
Yeah. And I do suspect that there may be a committee or two that might want to hear from him.
Yes, I've heard that too. I've heard that too. Maybe a subpoena or two.
Oh yeah,
a subpoena may be coming his way. Yeah. So then he is able to retain his pension and be able to testify.
Yes, freely. Yes, because of all of these events that have been going on, post Mueller report being released, redacted of course, but post that, you do have to go back to the Attorney General William Barr, his 4-page letter about the Mueller report, his summary of the Mueller report, in which many people asserted that he was telling the truth. Hey, because everybody knew that at some point in time the Mueller report was going to be released, even if it was redacted, it was going to be released and everybody would see the full details. So it would make no sense for him to lie, for him to, I guess, fuzzy the details a little bit.
I mean, he did pen like a 19-page letter, like I don't know, over a year ago.
He did.
Detailing his, bemoaning the Mueller investigation
He did.
as a whole, like saying it shouldn't be going on. Yes. So, I mean, he's already stated his case, and I was just kind of wondering why there was not a conflict of interest issue that was at all raised.
Well, I mean, I think people did raise that issue, but Donald Trump, President Trump, wanted somebody in that position.
I was talking about Donald Trump.
Oh,
because I was expecting him to, put that out there. I was expecting Donald Trump to put that out there.
Like Mr. Conflict of Interest?
Yeah, that's why, because I know he's so concerned with conflicts of interest that I thought he would, be against, kind of Barr inserting himself. Oh, no. Because he's law and order president.
Yes, he did dub himself the law and order president, but no, we don't see that to be true. But anyway, so in this Mueller report, it's of course it's very long, many things that that it involves. In the report, Mueller does not state that President Trump is exonerated of obstruction of justice. Now, Attorney General William Barr stated that was a fact. Now, so how do we get here? Because and then he even had that press conference. You remember, and there was the Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein
standing right to his left.
Yeah, right beside him to the left. Behind him a little bit, and he was rambling off on these findings of Robert Mueller, which turns out weren't findings at all. So it's just like I said, a lot of people rush to the judgment that, hey, you see, Russiagate was a complete hoax. It wasn't meant to. It was a complete fabrication. There's nothing here. There's no charges. There's no nothing. Ha! See, we got you. But
I think it's important to kind of center yourself somewhere in the middle. And not necessarily the middle, but kind of get away from the fray. Get away from CNN and NBC. Get away from how Maddow chose to cover it. Yeah. You shouldn't develop your opinion on a topic or on an issue based on how someone else sensationalized it. You deal with it for what it is. And I think that's the way people should look at it. You don't kind of buy into the sensationalism of it.
Right.
And don't buy into this complete denial. Just look into it for yourself and look at the information. That's all.
Just be objective.
Just be objective.
The whole, a lot of people wanted to know, look, if Mueller was to find that President Trump obstructed justice, and in the report, there were many cases in which he lined out that yes, there were several cases where this could be obstruction of justice, and it was like Mueller was telling you this, but he couldn't make the decision to say, hey, yeah, I'm recommending charges. Now, why did he do that? Why?
Because
I should ask it in a different way. Why did he not go forward and recommend charges to the DOJ?
Because that's not how the process goes.
Not how the process goes.
It's supposed to be left up to Congress, and it said as much within the report.
So it's for the House of Representatives to adjudicate this process, not the DOJ, because the DOJ position is that a sitting president
cannot be indicted.
But people are using the lack of charges recommended by Mueller as evidence of there being nothing here. President Trump has been exonerated.
And again, it's not just about the accusations. It's the 10, counts of obstruction that are there.
Right.
And if people don't understand what obstruction is, it doesn't matter whether someone presumes their innocence or someone declares their innocence or someone projects how innocent they are to the public. You are still not allowed to commit crimes in defense of yourself.
Right.
And obstruction of justice kind of focuses around certain activities and certain behaviors, like trying to influence a government official, and that is, responsible or in charge of the investigation or has anything to do with the investigation, intimidating witnesses, tampering with the jury, tampering with witnesses, anything like that, intimidating a judge, destroying evidence, trying to hinder the investigation.
Correct.
Any of those things count as obstruction. Right. And those things are illegal and prohibited regardless of whether you think the investigation is a hoax or not. And if you think about this, you would not have an innocent person doesn't do all those things.
So I'm glad you brought it up in that way too, because we already have a comment kind of going there too, saying that there was no underlying crime. It doesn't matter if there was an underlying crime or not. Somebody's actions, if they're obstructing a governmental process, the justice process, then that's obstruction of justice. It doesn't matter, because they could be doing this just to save face. They could be doing this to save embarrassment. They could be doing it for a whole host of reasons. There doesn't have to be an underlying crime. But your actions in trying to prohibit this process from actually taking place, that's a crime. And I believe President Trump actually had he did have a interview on Fox News with Chris Wallace. And Chris Wallace, no, my bad, I'm sorry. Chris Wallace had an interview with
I saw it.
Not Napolitano, former New York mayor Rudy Giuliani. Yeah, I haven't said his name in a while. But anyway, yeah, and he was educating Rudy Giuliani to this fact that there does not have to be an underlying crime. And Robert Mueller said as much in the report.
Also, this is actually not coming from us. This is coming from Judge Andrew Napolitano's legal analysis on Fox News.
Yes.
And they actually didn't even want him to do it in the building.
Wow.
Yeah, if you notice, it was outside. If you notice Andrew Napolitano's commentary on the obstruction of justice charges, it was shot outside because they didn't want him to do it inside the building. And I can understand why.
So
he had to go outside the building to tell the damn truth. Judge Napolitano now, a conservative who is on Fox News giving his legal analysis, that's his, not ours.
Now, so we have a little clip of that and that we wanted to show you because, look, it's not, you know what, let's just play the clip and then we'll talk about it.
So when the president asked his former advisor and my former colleague at Fox, KT McFarland, to write an untruthful letter to the file knowing the government would subpoena it, that's obstruction of justice. When the president asked Corey Lewandowski, his former campaign manager, to get Mueller fired, that's obstruction of justice. When the president asked his then White House counsel to get Mueller fired and then lie about it, that's obstruction of justice. When he asked Don McGahn to go back to the special counsel and change his testimony, that's obstruction of justice. When he dangled a pardon in front of Michael Cohen in order to keep Cohen from testifying against him, that's obstruction of justice. Why not charge him? Because the Attorney General of the United States would have blocked such a charge. Because the Attorney General of the United States is of the view that obstruction of justice can only occur if you're interfering with a criminal investigation of yourself. But that's not what the obstruction statute says, and that's not what law enforcement believes, and that's not what prosecutors do. Prosecutors prosecute people who interfere with government functions, and that's what the president did by obstruction. Where's this going to end? We don't know. But I'm disappointed in the behavior of the president. His job is to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, to uphold and to enforce federal law, not to violate it. If he had ordered his aides to violate federal law, to save a human life, or to preserve human freedom, he would at least have a moral defense to his behavior. But ordering them to break federal law to save him from the consequences of his own behavior, that is immoral, that is criminal, that is defenseless, and that is condemnable.
So we have talked about Andrew Napolitano a few times before in reference to this particular topic, and this is really on the same line because he has been really looking at this as a neutral party. It seems it looks like he has been objective on this issue. Now, that piece right there was a little bit more biting. It was a little bit more hard-hitting. But again, it shouldn't be surprising because of what he has been talking about the whole entire time. The part that I liked about it was that he brought up the fact that if Donald Trump had if his actions were so because it was because of some moral argument. He was trying to save a human life or multiple human lives. If this was some foreign policy decision or something like that, at least he would have that moral argument to justify why he's trying to break the law. But he doesn't have that. He's trying to get in the way of an investigation, which he says that he's innocent of. There's nothing there, no collusion, no obstruction. He's innocent, but he's getting in the way of an investigation.
We talked about Napolitano before and how he, does his legal analysis, and we give him credit for that. And he gives a legal analysis objectively, despite being on Fox News. But I was very surprised that he would come down on Trump's head like a sledgehammer, not like that.
Yeah.
And of course, Trump hit him back.
He did. And this was a tweet that Trump had put out on Twitter. Ever since Andrew came to my office to ask that I appoint him to the U.S. Supreme Court, and I said no, he has been very hostile. Also asked for a pardon for his friend, a good pal of Low Radin's Shepard Smith.
I think it's important to note how this investigation popped off and kind of what set it off. And it wasn't the DNC hack. Although that was a narrative that was pushed by the Democrats, that is not what actually started the investigation. It was Papadopoulos that did that. He got drunk and he told a Russian diplomat, not a Russian diplomat, but an Australian diplomat, that the Russians had dirt on Hillary Clinton. And he was partying, and I guess he forgot where he was, and he told this Australian diplomat this. Whether it was true or not, I'm not saying it's true, but he actually told a Russian diplomat this, that the Russians had dirt on Hillary. And guess what happened? This Australian diplomat reported this. And that's how the investigation, as far as them tracking Papadopoulos, started.
So it didn't start with Obama spying on the Trump campaign?
And then actually, the funny thing about that is, it was actually Obama who came in, or not came in, when Trump came into the administration, or to the White House, Obama actually came straight to him and said, look, we have some intelligence information, some long-running intelligence information that Russia has been trying to engage in some cyber warfare, just in general and in regard to our elections. And I think, was it Mitch McConnell, too? He brought it to Mitch McConnell's attention, and they said, no, we're not going to do anything about it. So this wasn't some sort of secret plan. No. The information is out there. But again, based on Papadopoulos's, I guess, drunken stupor and the spirits coming alive and coming out, he made some statements that may or may not have been true that sparked the FBI to follow him. And through following Papadopoulos, he came into contact with some Russian nationals. Yeah. So that kind of spurred another, I guess, avenue to go into. So there was something to look at. That doesn't mean that was actually a crime that was being committed, but there was something
to investigate.
To investigate, at least. And then when they started uncovering other issues with individuals on Trump's campaign, then the doors just started bursting wide open. Exactly. When you're looking at his campaign manager, Paul Manafort. Right. When you're looking at his other aide, Rick Gates. Flynn, yeah. So when you're looking at all this stuff, the floodgates just come open.
Exactly. So again, there was a reason for the investigation. The investigation actually did bear fruit, and I believe it's just under 200 criminal charges. Indictments, people sentenced to time, actual prison time. And like I said, I'll piggyback on what Judge Napolitano actually said. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if the Democratic Party, the leaders in the Democratic Party, are actually going to start impeachment proceedings. We've heard from Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats that that's not where they want to go. It's interesting that there is one person trying to make the case for impeachment, though, and it's a Republican. This guy's name is J.W. Verrett, and he was interviewed on CNN. And and he made the case for impeachment. So this is a guy that has been a long-time Republican. I believe he's always been a Republican. He's a law professor at George Mason University. He was on the Trump transition team. He was a staffer. He's been a counsel to the Republican-led House Financial Services Committee. So this is a Republican, okay? I just wanted you to keep that in mind. This is a Republican. So just take a look at this interview.
You were a stalwart Republican. You worked on the transition. You've certainly had your differences with the president, but you've said you wanted to serve the country. Tell us why you're calling for impeachment now.
The Mueller report is, without question, a referral to Congress to begin impeachment proceedings. I mean, I read it twice. That was my impression the first 10 pages in. And I think we have to take it seriously. As Democrats make what I think is basically a political calculation about what to call the hearings that are coming, use the title impeachment or not, that's not something that really concerns me. To me, there's enough here for the impeachment process to begin.
And Mueller did not draw that conclusion, right? He, on obstruction, Bill Barr drew that conclusion. What is it specifically, as you read the report, or in its totality, what was it where you said, this is grounds for impeachment? Whether or not it's Congress that now would take up that mantle, what was it?
It's a long checklist. For me, it's the principal obstruction issues that Mueller highlights. Depending on how you count, 10 to 12 separate counts of potential obstruction of justice. Remember, those have been raised before. That was a part of the Clinton impeachment. But for me, really, remember, I think we all need, America needs to remember their basic civics. Impeachment is the start of the process. It's not the end. I think most of us think generally impeachment, now that means a finding that you're no longer president. No, no, no. It's the beginning of a process. It's like a grand jury investigation. That's the best analogy. And there's more than enough here. This is the most extensive grand jury referral I've ever seen. I think if you don't draw the line here, I fear for the precedent going forward. And on the political calculation, frankly, I think a lot of Democrats are making the wrong political calculation. I supported the idea of the Clinton impeachment. I did. I thought there was some serious obstruction issues there. But it's not nearly as serious as what's going on here. It's a different man with different approval ratings. He's not a comeback guy when it comes to approvals. He's been net negative since a couple months after taking office. Different man, different facts. The American people are going to listen, and I think they're smart enough to see what's going on.
It sounds like it's he's trying to make the topic of impeachment not about getting Trump out of office, but more about the optics leading up to the 2020 election. He didn't mention
the precedent going forward.
And the precedent going forward.
Right, because if you have somebody in office that's in the Oval Office, the executive office, somebody that is the president of the United States, and they're committing actions like this, and you do nothing about it, that precedent going forward, I mean that's not something that anybody would look, approve of.
I guess approaching it that way to me has nothing to do with about fixing our democracy.
No,
and I think we shouldn't look at it that way. Mm-hmm. We should compartmentalize this and focus it on this individual in the White House and those figures around him that are kind of insulating him in all this in this situation.
The part where he brings up Bill Clinton, former President Bill Clinton, he makes the case that there is way more here on the table than what anybody had against Bill Clinton, who was guilty of lying about a blowjob, to Congress. There's way more here. So if Republican, look, anybody that lived throughout the 90s, throughout that time, if you even take a look back and see the effort to go get President Bill Clinton, it was fierce. So to say that nothing should be done here, but you support what happened with Clinton, the impeachment proceedings with Clinton, that's a little bit hypocritical.
It's like this is another one of those situations where we have to get away from the political theater of it all and just objectively look at it for what it is. Like when I go on YouTube and just be looking at videos, all the impeachment commercials. Have you ever seen those? Yeah. The impeachment commercials. Those just seem a little bit too much.
Yeah, a little people are doing a little bit too much.
People are just doing a little bit too much. And it's like I guess what they were attaching to it kind of made it empty. Like, we have to save our democracy, and the sovereignty of our country is on the line. I'm like, see, now you're just going overboard.
Right. Well, some people are making the argument that Donald Trump is too awful. He must be impeached. That's not an argument that you can make when you're talking about impeachment. He had to have done something to actually force Congress to actually move. And it can't be him being just horrible and you not agreeing with his policy positions. He was elected as the President of the United States. We don't like that, of course, but you can't impeach him because he's
bad for America.
You can't do that.
I just don't think you should do that. This is more about like holding someone accountable for violating the law. Actual actions, violating the law.
Exactly. Yep.
I'm like, we can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yep. That's it. So look, like I said, I don't know where this is going. I don't think anybody knows where this is going, but of course it will be in the news for the unforeseen future. So we'll see. We'll see how it ends up. I will mention this. I don't want to go into a big long thing about this. I don't know if anybody noticed. Hillary Clinton wrote an article.
Oh man, I was so like I didn't want to read it.
Yeah,
because the title already kind of laid out what it was going to be about.
Yeah,
and instantly I was like, you're probably going to be right about it, but you're just not the right person to deliver the message.
All right, so the title of her article, and this was on the Washington Post. And it was called Muller Documented a Serious Crime Against All Americans. Here's how to respond. And so, look, reading the article, I find myself, just being objective. Because just unattach the words Hillary Clinton from the article, right? Unattach those words, and if you go through the article, you're like,
that person.
I agree with that.
They're making some great
this
points.
Author is, they're actually seeing it the right way. Yeah, okay. But when you throw that name back onto the article, then she even made the case herself that she's probably not the right messenger. And that was the most pressing point that I think she made in the entire article. She's not the right messenger because...
Pressing? More like ironic.
Yeah, it is. But see, it's like, I understand. She was like, she's coming at this as a citizen, as a former senator, secretary, whatever.
No, there's absolutely no way she can come at anything from the position of a citizen.
No.
I don't. For the rest of there's
absolutely
no way. No. Absolutely.
You were in the government. That's it. But yeah, she is the wrong messenger, and she should have kept it just moving after that, because I believe that was like the second or third paragraph where she said she's probably not the right messenger. Cut it off right there. I have opinions, but I'm not the right messenger. Peace. I'll see you on the next article. But she didn't do that. So again, the content of her article was mostly like, yeah, I agree with, but when you take into the account the fact that Hillary Clinton herself has talked about, and she was captured on audio, you can actually go back and listen to it, talking about how she wanted to interfere with Palestinian elections.
Mm-hmm. What about the wage increase in Haiti?
Or to prevent the wage increase in Haiti.
Yeah, to prevent the wage increase.
Yeah, she was involved in that. So for her to, come at this like, yeah, this is an assault on American democracy. We should all be upset, and this is what we got to do. Yeah, it's possibly the right message, but again, the messenger. Just go ahead and just keep that.
To me, I don't. As a citizen, I don't like being used as a proxy.
Yes. To
attack like another political figure, even if that political figure is Donald Trump, because he's like, he attacked all Americans, and I'm like.
But you see who we're dealing with. This is Miss Panda Bear herself.
I was like,
this is Miss Panda Bear herself. I was
like, I can objectively, like, I guess, define what another political figure does. This political figure being Donald Trump. I can objectively define what he does as abhorrent, corrupt, or illegal, without feeling like I'm being attacked.
Yes.
Personally
attacked, yes.
Personally attacked. Right. Even if we're talking about him trying to repeal Obamacare and not provide any health care for Americans. Even if we're talking about him being very disrespectful and bigoted towards immigrants, especially dealing with DACA, building the wall, sanctuary cities, whatnot, transgender ban, all of that stuff. We can talk about that, but I'm not going to be like in my personal feelings.
Well,
so I can't feel personally attacked. Even when he talks about respecting law enforcement and kind of encouraging law enforcement to be more abusive, I can objectively say that that's wrong, but I'm not going to feel like he's attacking the American people. You know what I'm saying? I think that's just the wrong way to approach it.
I think it depends on who you are too, though, and like if that situation or his policy, his words, his actions are going to directly affect you, or if they have directly affected you. For you to feel personal about that, I can understand that.
Yeah.
This subject right here.
That's what I was about to say. Like, I don't think you can say that about this subject.
No, this subject right here, I don't feel.
Other subjects maybe,
yes,
but not about this particular subject she was talking about.
Right. No.
As if somehow like our votes counted more before Trump came along.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what she's making it out to be. Like, man, Trump came along, man. Democracy is at risk now. Trump came along, and now democracy is at risk.
I think you can make the case that her actions have crumpled democracy just a little bit.
Yeah, it's a convergence of a lot of things, but like, come on now. Like, did kind of voter suppression just come along right when? No. Did Donald Trump invent gerrymandering?
No, he didn't invent racism either.
No.
Bigotry and all that.
Nah, he just kind of says the quiet parts out loud.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
All right. So, election season 2020. Of course, Joe Biden, former vice president of the United States, has announced his candidacy. And so there is a new CNN poll that has been conducted, and it was conducted after Joe Biden made that announcement. And Joe Biden's numbers has increased. They've increased. So in this CNN poll, I believe he was at 27%. Now he's at 38% of respondents that support his candidacy. The next person in line, or in second place, was Senator Bernie Sanders. And according to this poll, he has 15% support. Everybody else is in the single digits. Everybody else is in the single digits. I believe third place was Elizabeth Warren, which she's at 8%. She was at 7%. It doesn't really make any sense to like go through this. Actually, the only people that actually made an increase, according to this poll, was Biden. Elizabeth Warren made a 1% gain, and then, of course, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, he made a 6% gain. So he's at 7% right now. He's in fourth place, according to this poll. Kirsten Gillibrand's at 1%. Eric Swalwell's at 1%. Marianne Williamson, Andrew Yang, they're at 1% too. And so, at least for Marianne Williamson, this is her first poll, her first national poll where she's actually registering at 1%. So she would need at least two more national polls that says she's at 1%, or she needs, to get to that 65,000 individual donors mark to actually reach the first Democratic debate in June. But anyway, it's very interesting to see Joe Biden get to these numbers. Actually, I said he was at 38%. He's at 39%. So he was at 28%. Now he's at 39%.
What do you think is driving this? Like, what do you think is driving these numbers? Even if it's like, let's just say it's legit, and this is not speculative, and they did not kind of poll a small sample size. Like, what is driving these numbers? Like, what has he been doing since he left office as vice president? Like, what has he been doing? That's my question. Where has he been?
I can think of two instances where he has made, I believe, national news. Okay. One instance was during the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. Around that situation, because of course it was being compared to the whole
Nita Hill situation
that was in 1994. And so around that time, that's when he made some comments of, where he was sort of apologetic about how the whole proceedings went along and how he wished he could have done more to protect her, blah, 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 whatever like that. That was one instance where that was making national news. The other one that I can remember is when right before the midterms, 2018, he showed up in Michigan, and
you talking about when he
he pocketed a little dough.
He pocketed about $200K.
200K. Don't forget the word about.
Oh, my bad.
200K.
Okay.
He pocketed 200K for showing up for a Republican, the incumbent Republican in that race. And
what kind of Republican was he?
Oh, a far right Republican.
Like really conservative?
Oh yeah.
Like against abortion rights?
Oh yeah.
Repealing the ACA completely and not offering any kind of
against marriage equality.
Oh
yeah. Extreme right Republican. He showed up for him because he believed he was a good guy or something like that. And actually, that part of it wasn't actually national news. That part of it wasn't national news, really, even though it was on national platforms. But what he did after that, because he was criticized after that, because of course the Democratic Party didn't want him to actually engage in advocating for the Republican in the race. If you're not going to advocate for the Democratic contender in the race, just stay out of it. Don't say anything. But he didn't do that. So they had nothing but contempt for his decision. And how he responded to that criticism was appearing on some stage somewhere and saying, what did he say about
he kind of distorted why people were criticizing him,
right?
Which was very dishonest. Mm-hmm. Like, he was like, they just don't like me because, I like Republicans.
Yes.
I was like, no, that's not what it was about. It was about you taking money to stump for a far-right Republican.
Right.
And I'm like, I do think it's interesting that Biden's bona fides as a Democrat are not questioned because of that. But Bernie Sanders' bona fides as a Democrat and his credentials as a Democrat are constantly questioned. He's not even a Democrat. It just baffles me.
He's not engaged in doing stuff like that, propelling Republicans.
He's not engaged in propelling Republicans. He's actually engaged in propelling progressive ideals.
Right.
Even when it's not election season. That's what he's been doing since he lost the primaries.
That's right. Because he's a senator and he's been talking this whole time for 2 years. Over 2 years he's been talking.
I think he's been talking. So he's had his boots on the ground.
Yep.
He's been at rallies and activist events surrounding the Fight for 15, teacher strikes, Medicare for all. So he's actually been out there, kind of increasing his value. You see what I'm saying? Like ever since 2016.
And so
he's
he's
been on a stage this entire time.
So what
even
has Biden been
outside
doing?
of election season? So I'm like, so why does Biden get this instant credit? Where has he been? I'm like looking for Biden. I'm like,
you know what? I would actually, I would somewhat give that a pass. I really wouldn't, but I guess I would be like,
make up your mind. Make up your mind.
I guess I would understand if somebody was like, okay, I'm not really gonna focus on where he's been, but look what he put forward in terms of a platform,
My bad.
his policy positions.
That's
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is something that I can really sink my teeth into. I think this is where the Democratic Party and this nation needs to go. Joe Biden is seeing it exactly right. So you got to get him elected.
You're saying there's actually something tangible to grab onto.
Yeah.
Some tangible policy.
Right.
So even if he hasn't necessarily been vocal in the media, like doing events and kind of connecting with groups, organizations out in the open, even if he hasn't been doing that, at least you might have at least something to hold on to that would, validate support for him.
Yeah, it would inform me of what his candidacy is about and what a President Joe Biden would look like. But that's not the case. That's not the case at all. Really, all we have to know about Joe Biden is his past.
Oh, and it's very, 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 very shaky. It's a pass that kind of wouldn't. I don't know. It would make him look more like a Republican than a Democrat.
Oh gosh. Yes, it would. Oh yes, it would. But this is 2019. The Democratic Party. We know that the Democratic Party has moved left. You know, in a lot of cases, you know, you can't really say that. You can't. You don't even want to say that because we have so much more to do. You know, because progress has not been attained in a lot of different areas.
It's left juxtaposed against an extreme right.
That's true. That's true. But it has.
So it's almost like a pseudo left kind of.
Yes. But on some positions we have moved left. Okay, we have to admit that. Biden, again, going back to his past and not really coming forward and saying that, yeah, I don't believe that way anymore. It seems like one would say that he would have the same positions as he had in the 80s and the 90s.
Now, what would make you think he has some of the same positions? Like, what would make you think anyone has the same positions? Like, when someone brings them up in the response, right?
Yeah.
Like, how would you, like, measure whether they had the same mindset?
Right.
From the response they get when these past issues are highlighted. Right. And what has been the common response he's given when it comes to being questioned about the things he supported in the past?
Oh, he's defended them.
He's defended them. He says, like, I'm not really sorry for anything I've done.
Right.
Anything. That includes, what, the crime bill?
Yep.
That includes the Defense of Marriage Act he supported.
Don't know.
That includes his support for the Iraq War, for TPP and NAFTA.
The Patriot Act?
The Patriot Act. He supports and is being supported by the big banks and the credit card companies, which makes sense. Since he voted to repeal Glass-Steagall, which regulates banks, so that makes sense.
He supports, or he has always supported the war on drugs. Always supported the war on drugs.
I think we need to kind of
go back.
I think we might have to like just unpack that just a little bit.
Yeah.
We might have to unpack that just a little bit. It's not just like he supports the war on drugs.
No. It goes much deeper than that. Again, if you go back to George H.W. Bush's presidency, Biden was a critic of Bush's tenure. And if I say that, you know, that might seem like that's a good thing. Because, of course, we were critical of Bush's tenure as president of the United States. But the reason why, on this subject, the reason why Biden was critical of Bush was because he didn't feel like Bush and the Republican Party were doing enough.
Think about that.
Enough on the war on drugs.
Think about that.
Enough on crime.
Supposedly, where is, I guess, the voting base at? Where are most Americans at when it comes to marijuana? Right now.
Oh, yeah. Right now. They are supportive of legalizing it.
Legalizing it.
Decriminalizing it.
When Joe Biden still thinks it's a gateway drug.
Yes, and should be outlawed.
It should be outlawed.
Or it should remain outlawed.
Remain outlawed. I don't know, the things I've heard him say about marijuana and drugs, like, man, his positions on it might make Jeffrey Beauregard Sessions blush. I think at one time he even advocated for, like, the death penalty.
Which he is still supportive of as well, the death penalty. I believe so.
So
he hasn't
again,
cleared that up, so I believe he is still supportive of the death penalty.
So again, out of all the Democrats, where do you rank Joe Biden? As far as being like, with with the consensus in regard to policy,
Okay.
where the consensus is amongst American citizens, where does he rank?
All right, for me, there are, I believe there's 20 or over presidential candidates now, Democratic presidential candidates. I believe there's like either 20 or above 20 now. Yeah. I think the number is exactly at 20. I'm not sure, but it's 20 or above, okay? For me, somebody like Senator Amy Klobuchar would be right towards the bottom. I mean, she's down there towards that bottom, okay? She could be number 20, or she could have been number 20. I think for me, Joe Biden is number 20 at this point.
All right. I got another question for you. I'm gonna take it a little further now. I'm not sure if you're ready for this.
All right.
A lot of people are very apprehensive about 2020 because they fear that it will be a repeat of 2016.
You mean running another centrist candidate?
Yeah, especially after Joe Biden announced that he was officially running.
Right.
A repeat of 2016, which involved another character by the name of Hillary Clinton.
That's correct.
All right. How do you think that Joe Biden compares to her? I know it's easy to just say, oh, they're all the same, centrist, like corporate, whatever. But like, if we're gonna split hairs, like, who is actually worse according to their record and according to, I guess, even their ability to change and move from where they are or where they were?
Right. I'm pausing, not because I need to think about it, just because I need to pause, because I can't just come out and because if you actually think about it, I believe the obvious answer is Hillary Clinton's a better candidate. Hillary Clinton has a better record.
We're just splitting hairs now.
Yeah. Hillary Clinton, she's not a redeemable figure. She comes with a laundry bag full of dirt. And I kind of reduced it to just a laundry bag, but she comes with a lot of baggage. Okay.
Like, what would you? You sound like you wanted to actually reduce it to something else, like a potato sack.
Nah, you know what? Actually, I'm not gonna define it. She comes with a lot of baggage. Okay. Just a whole bunch of baggage. She is somebody that is such a toxic figure. When you bring her name up, I mean, it's just the reactions are extreme. They can be on extreme sides. There's a lot of extreme support. There's a lot of extreme criticism of her. Okay, and that criticism of her is warranted. The extreme criticism, we've talked about that a couple times. That that's not warranted. A lot of people take it way too far when you're talking about Hillary Clinton. When you're just comparing those two figures, though, Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, I don't think I would have to think long about who I would have rather as a candidate, as a person in office. It would be Hillary Clinton. Joe Biden, when you look at his record, when you look at his refusal to actually apologize for the things that in 2019, and not just in 2019, even back then were frowned upon. But in 2019, of course, a lot of people have come to the awareness that those old positions were horrendous. And he still has not really made moves on. He still has not adjusted his thought process. I can't get down with Joe Biden. I can't get down with Joe. When you heard Joe Biden talk about the crime bill and how supportive of he was of it, because of course he wrote the crime bill. I mean, he authored it. He was proud of it. In 2016, I think he was asked the question if he was ashamed of it. He said, of course not. No, I wrote the bill. So when you go back to that time period in the 90s when he was actually in the Senate and he was actually talking about his crime bill, he once stated that he didn't care about how the people became criminals. Like what was the motivation for them? Like what was their circumstances? I don't care. That's what he said in the Senate. On the floor, I don't care. We have to lock him up.
I don't care about dealing with the root causes.
That's what he said.
I don't
did not care one iota about root causes.
And actually, he still doesn't care. He says he's not ashamed of anything he's ever done. And that is actually not something that Hillary Clinton does. As much as we talk about her lacking self-awareness and not being I guess, aware of why she lost the election.
Right.
Like, we can talk about her in that sense, but she actually does she has gone over in detail, like, how she's moved along.
Yeah, she
and
has.
and specifically with the crime bill, too. She pretty much acknowledges her part in it, and she said, I don't think it's necessarily sincere.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think it's sincere.
Even if she's pandering, at least she's pandering.
At least she's pandering. Joe Biden is incredulous and is not even pandering.
Exactly.
So I can sit up here and say, well, Hillary Clinton has this kind of kind of queendom complex. I'll say that. And I think we all felt that throughout the primaries. And we felt that from her supporters, that she was anointed. So she has this kind of queendom type of persona. With Joe Biden, I think he has like a God complex. Because I can't remember if it was before or after he announced, or when I say Messiah, God complex, I mean Messiah complex. I meant to say Messiah complex. And kind of what gave me that inclination is when he says, I get calls from people all over the world. World leaders are calling me, and they're almost begging me to do this, to save the country, to save the world. Now, who does that sound like? Who does that sound like? Who would you expect a comment like that to come from? I get calls from people all over the world. Who does that sound like?
Donald Trump.
Thank you.
That's just like Donald.
That sounds
like
just
a tweet. Did you read that? Did you get it? I didn't see that. That sounds like a Donald Trump tweet.
That comes straight. It comes straight from the horse's mouth, or the sniffer's mouth. It comes straight from the sniffer's mouth. Yes, it does. So yeah.
Mr. Grabby Hands.
Mr. Grabby, grab and sniff. Grandpa, grab and sniff.
We've seen polls before, okay? And of course, everybody pays attention to polls, no matter if you want to or not. Everybody pays attention to them. Because if you support Bernie Sanders and you see a poll where Bernie Sanders is doing well, then you're like, well, hey, okay, well, look, that poll has him up, okay? So everybody pays attention to them. Everybody draws at least something from them.
Yeah.
Now, how authentic they are, like what kind of reflection they are on true happenings, true support, like that's to be debated. Because we can go back to 2016 and you can see where Hillary Clinton was juxtaposed to where Bernie Sanders was all through 2015 and 2016. And then you can also see where Hillary Clinton was juxtaposed to where Donald Trump was. And we see what happened in that race as well. So I for the life of me, I don't understand the support of Joe Biden at all. I don't understand it at all. My hope is that this is not a reflection of true support. My hope is that when it does get to the debates and when we have these candidates on stage having to talk about their positions when it comes to policy, that the truth will be revealed about Joe Biden.
Right. And well, the truth about Joe Biden as it pertains to his economic vision.
Yeah.
Because what do we talk about on this show, and kind of what's even during the election and now even after the election, what is like one of the premier focus for the country?
What are you talking about? Healthcare?
Healthcare.
Oh, climate change?
Climate change, the economy and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think like probably the economy is the better thing to mention because, you know, you have all these talks about corporations avoiding taxes.
Right.
You have the report that came out about stock buybacks being at record levels of 2018, all because of Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
Right.
So I think it would be good to judge Biden based on his outlook on where the United States economy is and how he views the 1% and the upper class and how it relates to the working class. So I'll ask you a question. What do you think about this statement? I'm not going to tell you who it came from, but what do you think about this statement? I'm not Bernie Sanders. I don't think 500 billionaires are the reason why we're in trouble. The folks at the top are not bad guys. Wealthy Americans are just as patriotic as poor folks. Now, what do you think about that statement? I'll read it over if you want me to. What's your like your first impressions of a statement like that?
You see, well,
does that come from somebody who kind of understands the economic struggles of most Americans?
No. And see, I can't even act like I haven't heard that. So I can't even act. But you know, look.
So what say? You heard that before?
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that. Yeah.
Where you heard that from?
I heard that from Biden.
You heard it from
Biden.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, if you want to check that was Biden. Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure
Yeah, it was
about where I got that from. Oh yeah, you're right. It was when he was talking to the Brookings Institute. Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It did come from Biden.
That comment comes off as completely out there. Like, you're not attached to reality. Nobody is saying that billionaires are bad people. Okay? I'm definitely not saying that. I'm not saying that millionaires are bad people. But what I am saying is that there is a system in place that unfairly keeps them at a certain level and keeps everybody else at another level, a negative level. So to say that, hey, he said 500 billionaires, like the 500 billionaires.
He specifically says,
problem.
I don't think 500 billionaires are the reason why we're in trouble. But I don't think that there's the argument that Bernie Sanders is making.
No, exactly.
Bernie Sanders is not making the argument that, hey, these specific billionaires is what's causing our economic woes.
No.
He does use billionaires as kind of a proxy to talk about overall inequality.
But is he talking about the billionaires or the system?
He's talking about the system that benefits billionaires.
Exactly. That corrupts the process. No,
benefits
process
billionaires
that is corrupt too.
Disenfranchises.
Exactly.
Yeah,
He's not talking about, hey, these billionaires, look, see, they did this, they did that. Look what they spent their money on and blah, blah. No, he's not talking about their individual actions. He's talking about the system that is there to support their rise to the top and their being sustained at the top.
Who is he pandering to, though? No. So it's like, wait. Wealthy Americans are just as patriotic.
Why would he say that?
Why would he say that?
Why would he
Yo,
say
you're
that?
just going, you're doing the most. You're doing the most right there.
Again, man, looking at these polls, I don't understand where the support is coming from. I don't understand how people are so enthusiastic about Joe Biden. Because, of course, everybody has seen that on social media. There's not, of course, you don't see the most of it on social media. Of course, you see more about Bernie Sanders. You may see more about Tulsi Gabbard. You may see more about Kamala Harris. By now, Beto is kind of, he's not really a thing anymore. He's not really a thing anymore.
Here's the thing. I do think, like, Robert O'Rourke, I think both him and Buttigieg were experiments.
Yeah.
I think they were experiments. I think a lot of people in the Democratic field are experiments. And I think the two most viable experiments that the Democrats tried to kind of push out there were Buttigieg and Robert O'Rourke. I'm trying to make it a point not to call him Beto. I don't give a damn how long he's been called Beto. I want to call him Robert.
All right.
Kind of like, R. Kelly.
Yeah.
People make it a point to say Robert Kelly because he's in some serious shit.
Yeah.
But I do think the Democratic Party recognizes those two experiments failing.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why Biden was sitting out. I guarantee you, if O'Rourke would have took off or Buttigieg would have took off, I don't think Biden would be in it. I think he was their like safety valve.
Do you think?
Because it was after they started falling off, and after all these Buttigieg's past started coming out, after the report came out that O'Rourke kind of went back on his taking money from fossil fuel companies. After all that, then you can say that they weren't moving in the polls. So they had to have some safety valve. And I think he was kind of like.
Do you think that if Kamala Harris if she had been performing better than she is right now, if she had eclipsed Bernie Sanders?
That's you know what? That's another experiment I left out. That's probably the third. That's probably the third part of the experiment that doesn't seem to be working out.
Yeah.
And like you said, you don't want to always focus on numbers too much, but they weren't moving at all.
No, they weren't.
They weren't moving at all. And based on who they are and how new they are, they needed that. They don't really have that. They didn't have that same history that Bernie Sanders had when his numbers were low. They didn't galvanize as many people, and the amount of unique donors that they have right now no, this is, I don't know if this is now or not, but this is recent numbers I have about their unique donors. It's still really, really low compared to those at the top. Like, you know, well, the person at the top. It's not those, it's Bernie Sanders. I say those,
Yeah, those,
it's really Bernie
Nobody's
Sanders.
matching Bernie Sanders in actual bodies.
Yeah, and I think that's the metric that is the most important when judging whether someone's a viable candidate or not. And the amount of unique donors that Bernie Sanders has is like 5 times as many as Joseph Biden Jr. or JR as they call him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. This whole Biden thing is just I'm really confused. I am really confused. Like, I'm really confused at like some of the responses I've seen and some of the people twisting in pretzels.
Yeah.
To on one hand, hold Bernie Sanders accountable and hold him to certain standards, and then like not hold Biden to any standards at all, and then maintain this position that, policy doesn't matter. We need to just worry about beating Trump. And there's so many people, whether it be third wave Democrats or these Republican strategists, who are offering that as like this viable strategy. We just got to worry about beating Trump. And I'm like,
But see, that doesn't even make sense.
it doesn't
though.
seem,
Because why are we against Trump? Is it because his name is Donald Trump? Is it because he talks a certain way? Is it because he offends people? No. It's because of his policies.
he doesn't have any.
It's because of his
Well,
policies.
I wouldn't say he doesn't have any, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
He doesn't
they're
have any.
bad
He doesn't have
policies.
any policies that we think benefit most American people.
So if policies, we don't have to really worry about that. Let's just beat Trump. Shouldn't we worry about the policies of the person
Wait.
that
So-
is going to beat Trump too?
Wait a second.
Shouldn't that
Will.
be an issue?
Wait a second, Will. I think you're going too far. It sounds like what you're saying is the way to beat Trump is policy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's not on style. I could give a damn about style.
But see, people who have that position seem to be the same people who support shitty candidates.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Don't you notice that?
Yeah, I know.
Why does it seem that, like, the people who have that position, like, we just need to beat Trump, and we just need to unite behind a Democratic candidate to beat Trump? But see, what they're disingenuous because they already have in mind who that Democratic candidate is, and they're being disingenuous. They just wanted to be Joe Biden. They're not uniting around the most popular candidate, the candidate with the best policies, the most clear policies.
Yeah.
They're just uniting around a candidate that can beat Trump.
So
And that's projected to be Joe Biden, mostly because of style.
So you know when you're playing a game or something like that, it could be a pickup basketball game. You're like, let's run that back. Let's run that back, right? Run that back. You know, you're gonna run it back with the same team, right? The Democratic Party wants to run back the 2016 election with the same kind of damn candidate.
Oh, same candidate, same strategy.
And actually, like I said earlier,
Because it's beat Trump
somebody
strategy.
that's actually a little
Worse. It's worse. It actually is worse. And one thing I do notice early is that Bernie Sanders is actually kind of throwing shots early.
Yeah.
He said something about a corporate fundraiser Biden had the day he announced. Because didn't he have some sort of corporate fundraiser with Comcast?
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, Bernie called him out on that. And I was like, dog. I was like, oh, man. I really hope we see a different Bernie this time, because if we don't, we end up with Trump again. Yeah. And I think it's really, as much as we talk about, being worried about the electorate and them being kind of fooled by the stylish kind of appeal to Joe Biden, I think it should be more about how Bernie Sanders presents himself and how he engages with this election cycle, whether he's going to hit Biden how he should.
No
and
doubt.
if he doesn't, that'll be on him. I would have to completely blame Bernie Sanders, because it's completely up to Bernie Sanders to establish a contrast between him and Biden. I don't think the same solidarity exists between him and Biden that exists between him
Right.
and
Hillary.
No, Warren.
Oh,
Elizabeth
Warren.
Warren, because I'm talking
Oh.
about now.
Well,
Even now. Because, they met. Remember they met?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah.
So I don't think that same solidarity exists. And I think if he is going to hit him early like this, because he hit him twice, it should be continuous. And he can't just let up. Otherwise, it'll be his own fault if Biden gains any traction.
See,
His own campaign's fault.
I thought you were talking about Hillary because of the chumminess of the two throughout the primaries, really.
Yeah, you're right.
Because, at times he defended Hillary
you're right.
Clinton.
No, you're right. You're right.
But again, going back to 2016, we did talk about several times where Bernie did not put on that glove, that big glove, and really hit her.
You mean that ludicrous
Exactly.
that ludicrous glove
Exactly.
from what was that move?
Was that
move?
Yeah, I think that was
that
move.
was move.
Yeah, I think that was move, bitch. Yeah. So, yeah, there was certain, and you were just talking about the fundraiser with Joe
Comcast.
Biden.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton. We talked about the Hillary Victory Fund, and I don't believe Bernie Sanders said 2 cents about it.
And there's a lot of people who are still bitter about that. And I honestly just let that go.
Yeah.
They're still mad at him for not calling out the DNC and Hillary Clinton for cheating him.
Yeah, let that go. We're
that
in a
shit
different
go.
time
We're in a
period. Hillary
different time
Clinton's not
period
even
now.
running. So
I know. She's not even running. And I doubt she's running now because Biden's in there.
Oh, yeah.
We heard a lot of speculation from certain people that she was definitely running.
breaking news.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
He didn't use the word like imminent.
Yeah.
But it was kind of that same energy. We're not
Had
going to
that
say
same flavor.
It's had that same. We're not going to say who it is, but I plan on getting at him at some point. I
In
will.
the future. Oh, yeah. In
the future,
It's coming.
I
There's a
will.
date.
I will
Yeah.
rub that in because he kept saying Hillary Clinton's definitely running. Definitely running. I'm like, I don't think she is. Man, Biden's in, dog.
All right, man. Let's leave that. But you did go to a subject that kind of connects to the next story that we're talking about. Okay, so there corporations. Okay, you talked about the economy. You talked about the economy, that being a very big issue, when you're talking about selecting the next president, when you're talking about supporting a Democratic candidate. A lot of people do want to hear about the economy. What are you going to do for the economy? Especially, and not these numbers that we're seeing with Donald Trump and, hey, the economy's doing great and we know that it's a big old bubble. And people at the bottom, people in the middle aren't really feeling the positive effects of how this great economy is doing right now, right? So economy, of course, that's always a concern of citizens here in the United States of America. So according to the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, and that's a Washington think tank, okay? From 2008 to 2017, there were approximately 30 companies 30 publicly held companies that did not pay any federal taxes. Zero, none, zero. From 2008 to 2017, there was about 30 companies every year did not pay any federal tax. Pay any federal taxes on their income. Okay.
So, wouldn't that affect the areas, the cities and the states where these the businesses are based in?
Yes, it would. It would. But see, again, that was 2008 to 2017. Okay, just providing that for just some context here. In 2018, that average number of 30 companies doubled. We have 60 companies now in 2018 that did not pay any taxes at all. Did not pay any federal taxes. Zero. Just for an example, John Deere, farm equipment manufacturer, they earned $2.15 billion in 2018. They owed no federal taxes. And it gets better for them, actually. They're getting a rebate. Their rebate is $268 million because of deductions and credits.
Deductions and credits. Now, what happened to some of the deductions and credits for the middle class? I'm glad you mentioned that.
Kind of went away. It's kind of went away.
Now, some of their tax burden was relieved a little bit.
Yes.
But it was overshadowed by the amount of deductions they were allowed to take.
Right.
They weren't ready for that.
No. But for big business.
So overall, their effective tax rate was just slightly lower.
Yes.
But the amount of deductions they could take, were allowed to take, was severely lower too.
For regular Americans.
For regular Americans.
Yeah. For middle class, poor people, yeah. Not really a much better situation for many people. But for wealthy Americans, for big business, this is a great situation. Again, the total number of companies that paid no federal taxes jumped up. It doubled to 60. Now, 2018, I know it's a coincidence, but it was the first full year that we have been living in the whole Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. That was the first full year, 2018, because of course it was passed at the end of 2017. So 2018, that's the first year. Could it be because of that act? Could it be because the corporate rate? You remember, because the corporate rate was 35%. Remember, like the corporate tax rate was 35%, but then it was cut to 21% because of this Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Now we know that 35% mark, that wasn't actually what businesses were paying. That wasn't the effective tax rate. The effective tax rate was closer to like 16, 17%. And even in that reality, there were still numerous companies, corporations that were not paying federal taxes. They were getting a rebate, like Walmart. But now we have a better situation for more companies that are not paying federal taxes. This is this is a quote, or this is from the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. They said, instead of paying $16.4 billion in taxes, as the new 21% corporate tax rate requires, these companies enjoyed a net corporate tax rebate of $4.3 billion, blowing a $20.7 billion hole in the federal budget last year.
Okay, so that's under Trump's administration. So the most effective way to kind of reach people who are being affected by Trump's policies, and it's not necessarily Trump's policies. I don't want to just put it all on him. It's just a continuation of policies that we have always seen or always experienced.
This is a Republican.
Yeah. What would be the most effective way to kind of address that? Or, sorry, what would be the effective way to, I guess, show the American people that you are a better candidate to beat Trump? That's probably a better question.
On this subject right here, on the economy,
yeah,
on taxation and stuff like that.
What would be like
get the economy moving, things like that.
Yeah. Like what would be the most effective way to say, hey, I'm going to be a better candidate than Trump? Like what would be the most effective way to do that?
Well, I mean, there are many things. One thing is that you would denounce the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
Correct.
That would be one thing.
All right.
You would actually want wealthy Americans and business to actually pay their fair shares, not actually pay zero.
Okay, so
you
would kind of do what Trump said he was going to do with the ACA. You would repeal it.
You would. You would have to.
But see, Biden is not talking about that, though. So how do you run on kind of empty stylistics without speaking to something that's basic and is the elephant in the room? Something that's easy. He can at least pander to that, but he doesn't even want to do that.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, dog. I swear, man, if the same thing happens, dog, again in 2016, you ain't gonna see you, boy. No, dog. I'm stopping the show. I'm stopping doing the show. We're gonna have to do the show alone. I'm going into like sniper training. I'm killing cats, dog. I'm gonna start sniping jokers, dog. I'll be tired of it, dog. I'm gonna take up arms, dog. I'm gonna get some sniper training.
See, now we're gonna have to delete the video. Okay? Because we can't have any evidence of this now.
Oh yeah, we're gonna take it. Yeah, I know, right? No. I'm Alex Jones. I'm playing a character. Yeah, Alex Jones. I'm playing a character, son. It's all satire. It's satire. No, I'm just saying that's just kind of like, I guess the Nat Turner spirit coming up within me, just like to kind of express my frustration.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Because
I would be like, it's hard to kind of quantify like where the country would go if Biden became president, and since he's a conservative Democrat, since he's like a centrist, actually no, I don't even like to call him a centrist. He's a conservative
Democrat. Yeah. Look, I feel you on this, man. When I see the numbers, and then when I see the support of somebody like Joe Biden, and it doesn't seem to be based on anything. It just seems to be based on his name is Joe Biden, and he was the former VP under Barack Obama. That's what it seems to be about. What the feeling I get is like we're not moving anywhere. I feel like we're really not going to progress anywhere because people refuse to actually be objective. People actually refuse to like fight for what we actually need. They refuse to fight for actual other human beings. They refuse to see human suffering and actually do something about it. Like the least that anybody can do is let the right thing be, I guess, found through their vote. Like there's a lot of people that don't have time to do charity work. There's a lot of people that don't have time to get involved in their community and organizations, sit on boards, and I mean, you just don't have that time, and I understand that. I totally understand, especially if you have kids. I have kids. I totally understand that. If you have a job, 40 hours, more than 40 hours, you got two. I totally understand. Just not having the time to do all the things that you want to do. But when it comes time to go to the ballot box, when you see the way this country is, and you see a candidate that is talking the right thing, that is actually wanting to reform a lot of areas where we are failing our citizens, but instead you go for the guy that isn't going to change any of that. You go for the candidate that's just going to sustain this corrupt economy and this corrupt system that we have, and there's going to be this amount of change, but not enough to actually really make an impact in people's lives.
So is it real?
It's disappointing. And to say it's disappointing is not. I mean, I'm really not putting the right word out there. It's deflating.
So is it really about people not caring about suffering, or people not being cognizant or aware of like who is the most adequate representative to alleviate that suffering in the world? You see what I'm saying? I do think the majority of people do care about human suffering. I think the majority of people want to, I guess, you know what I'm saying? I think most people support policies that alleviate human suffering. And we can see that in the polls. When we're talking about climate change, we're talking about Medicare for all, legalization of marijuana, right? Yeah. So we see that in the polls.
But they don't fight for that. And like I said, the least that they can do to actually fight to alleviate that suffering
is who they vote for.
That's right.
So that's the problem. Like not knowing who to vote for that will alleviate that suffering. That's the problem. I think people are some. I don't think everybody is. I've come to grips with the reality that there are some people on this earth and some people in this country that don't want to live in equal society.
Right.
I'm not talking about those people.
Okay.
But the people that do want to, I guess, or they envision a world that not completely eliminates suffering, but envision a world where, I guess, the government they support kind of alleviates or mitigate or doesn't exaggerate or exacerbate human suffering. I just think it's more about like them being aware of who those candidates are that will create that reality. I think that's what it's about.
I think it goes a little bit deeper than that though, because look, a lot of people are misinformed or uninformed. Okay, so I totally agree with that aspect of it, but just to talk about our personal situations, like our personal events, like just talking to other people about candidates. We can go back to 2016. We can go to current day 2019. In 2016, you had Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, right? Mm-hmm. Those were two very different candidates. If you didn't come out on the end of supporting a Bernie Sanders, then I have to raise my eyebrow to you, and I have to say that I don't know what you're seeing, because a lot of these people claim to be informed, and they could rattle off some of Hillary Clinton's accomplishments and achievements and her awards and all this type of stuff. And look, she has made some good decisions. You know, she has, voted the right way multiple times, not taking that from her. But when you look at her, when you look at, her record and compare her to Bernie Sanders, the choice was very, very clear. Assuming what you're saying, you voter, assuming what you're saying about what you want to see in this country and this world is true, the choice should be clear. But no, they went with somebody like Hillary Clinton. When we talk about 2019, and you've talked about that when you're talking to Biden supporters, right? And the way they talk and how they are just like enthusiastic about supporting Joe Biden. And you look at his past, and you juxtapose that to Bernie Sanders or even Tulsi Gabbard or Elizabeth Warren.
You're saying it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's not just them being uninformed. It's that, no, they know the issues, but they're still there.
That you're flummoxed, and you're puzzled as to how they can look at this person and think that is the person that's going to manifest, I guess, the environment or the world that they envision.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm there too.
Yeah.
I'm there too. I'm puzzled and I'm confused too.
And that's why, that's why it's deflating to see these poll numbers. Even though we know that they can be incorrect, there's a good chance that they're incorrect.
It's a good chance they're not, and we need to be prepared for that.
But I like 2020, that hits and that comes election. You know what? Actually, not election day. Way before that, when we're talking about who's going to get the nomination.
And and to be real, it's like we're definitely not out here saying Bernie's the best thing since sliced bread.
Right.
He is definitely not as left as I would want him to be.
No doubt.
Definitely not. Somebody although I have my issues with him, I'm more for militant figures like Jamu Baraka. I have my issues with him. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think he reaches way too much, and he always has to position himself as the contrarian revolutionary unnecessarily, even though he is that. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to constantly try to reach for that. That's the kind of militancy I like.
Right.
Like a Jamu Baraka. Or kind of the outspokenness of a Cornel West.
Okay.
Or like a Noam Chomsky. Or a Michael, what's his name? What's his name? Vin something. It's historian, forgot his name. But yeah, that's the kind of
I'd have to throw in there
Marianne Williamson.
Her rhetoric, the way she speaks and how she talks about issues is very different than what we can,
and people may disagree with us. It's the only reason why Bernie Sanders is seen as a revolutionary is because our system has gone so far over, way off the deep end. So of course Bernie Sanders is going to be seen as a revolutionary figure, and that's sad.
Right.
But so I never saw Bernie Sanders as the best thing since sliced bread. But when you're stacking him against the candidates that's most popular, that's why we support him. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm not going to be delusional to what Bernie Sanders is. I never saw him as what people are trying to judge him on, a messiah, or lately some civil rights revolutionary. I'm yeah, he has kind of experience in that. He has a history of dealing with that, but I've never seen him as some sort of civil rights icon or somebody who has the social sciences down as it comes to race relations, even as it comes to feminism, any kind of this social justice kind of perspective. I've never seen Bernie Sanders as somebody who is the person to go to. So it's I don't even like him being judged on that because I never even saw him as that, and he never actually presented himself as that. So it's I don't know why people are trying to establish this litmus test for him, especially if they're not even trying to establish that for anybody else.
Because like you said, the way this country has gone and mostly the way this U.S. Congress has always been, somebody like him sitting in Congress, he is viewed as the most left. So that must be a reflection on all of us. we must be just as left as him, not farther left than him.
Yeah, and I think
He's
I
got
am.
to be the standard.
I think I'm way farther left than him.
I believe I am
and like
too.
we disagree with a lot of his positions.
But like I said, man, we're gonna have to cut some of this video out. Gonna have to cut. Telling you.
It was satire. It was satire.
All right, yeah, I get you.
But
I get
see-
you. Is
see-
YouTube gonna get you though? Is YouTube gonna
But
understand you?
see. What type of sniper will I be? See, that's the question.
Easy money sniper?
No.
It's on Kevin Durant. Easy money sniper. That's what you're talking about? You be sniping. You're gonna be sniping from long range.
Nah. Yeah, sniping from long range, but I ain't say I was gonna be like using bullets, like actual bullets. Maybe I was gonna use like, I don't know, little like water darts.
Yeah.
And just terrorize people with water darts. That's
Yeah.
what I meant.
Terrorize people.
With little water darts. And just sting them a little bit.
Well, this is good. This is good. More explanations. This is good. This is good.
Like a paintball sniper.
No, that's too much.
That's still too much?
That's criminal.
That's criminal?
You can't do that. But anyway, let's move on. We have one more. We talked about months before. We've talked about in certain states, different states like Kansas, West Virginia, Arizona, Oklahoma as well. There have been teacher protests. Teachers have walked out or they've gone on strike, held rallies. There is another state that is making some moves on that front, and that state is South Carolina.
It's us.
Right here in South Carolina. So tomorrow, May 1st, teachers from all across this state are going to be converging on the state capitol in Columbia for a rally. And this is due to things. This is due to progress not being made on many issues. It could be about their wages, that is one of the issues. School improvements. They just feel like their concerns have not been addressed in a meaningful way. And I have to say in a meaningful way because, of course, you do see the empty rhetoric of a lot of politicians in South Carolina and other states as well, where it's happened in other states. But you see that empty rhetoric where they say that, yeah, we support education, we support our school teachers, and yeah, we want to do the right thing. But when it actually comes down to it, they do nothing. So that's what we have in South Carolina. So they are going to, like I said, converge on the State House for a rally while the lawmakers are in session. And this is being done to raise awareness to their plight. There's already been at least 4 school districts in the state that have canceled school for Wednesday, tomorrow. I don't know if there's going to be others as well, but again, this is another significant effort to do something about the state of teaching, about the state of schools all across the country. The South Carolina superintendent does not support this effort by the teachers. In a statement, she said, and her name is Molly Spearman, she said, "I support teachers using their voice to advocate for needed change and share in their commitment to ensuring reforms become a reality. However, I cannot support teachers walking out on their obligations to South Carolina students, families, and the thousands of hardworking bus drivers, cafeteria workers, counselors, aides, and custodial staff whose livelihoods depend on our schools being operational."
Wow. So, what, that sounds like she's trying to gaslight them.
Yep. I support you, but I'm not with you, really. I'm not really with you.
I'm going to say I support you with my words, but I'm going to gaslight you to make you feel guilty about demanding better conditions. And I'm going to use the students and other faculty members as a prop or as a proxy to make you look like you're the bad guy in this.
That you're not being accountable to your duties. You're not fulfilling your duties.
And I have a number of teachers that I'm friends with.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it got to a boiling point for one of my friends. And he posted this long letter to the superintendent. And that junk was very biting. Yeah. And he was very upset about those statements. I'm not even going to read it, but I'm just letting y'all know that there's a lot of teachers that have kind of publicly stated their kind of, I guess, dissatisfaction with how their grievances are being dismissed by the superintendent.
All right. One of the other issues that teachers, educators are trying to get something done about is class sizes. And that's an interesting subject because you remember just a few weeks ago we talked about the secretary. The
yes, DeVos.
Betsy DeVos.
Yeah.
And
when
how,
that little hearing.
Yeah, that little hearing before a committee in Congress, and she was trying to make the case that larger class sizes will actually lead to better results for students and teachers. Yeah. But these teachers, they say, I guess they're saying, no, that's not the case. We need smaller class sizes to actually get, I guess, more one-on-one time with students.
Why would you listen to, like, people who are actually in the field, though?
Yeah, I know, exactly. You want to listen to the
Why
education
would you?
secretary, the professional. You know, the professional.
Who really cares about public education?
Yeah, man, you don't listen to these students. They don't know what they're talking about.
You definitely don't listen to teachers.
Nah, you don't want to talk now.
Not the people who actually do the job.
Because, see, their mindset is clouded.
So they're biased.
They're biased. You want to see somebody that's not in the situation, bird's eye view. I know what the problem is. You should listen to her. Now, we've talked about minimum pay. We've talked about average pay in a lot of states that have been going through situations like this. South Carolina, the minimum salary has not kept up with inflation. So the minimum salary is somewhere, I think it's about like $31,000, $32,000. The starting minimum salary is like $31,000, $32,000. There's a current proposal that I guess is on the table. It would bump up the starting salary to $35,000. That would still be below, where it would be adjusted for inflation. Actually, if you go back to the 2008-2009 school year, or that year, teachers earning pay that year, if you adjust it for inflation going to 2019, they're coming away with less money in 2019. So we have a situation, like I said, where we've talked about this in other states, where money is being spent in other areas, but it's not being spent on education in the right way. So it's led to a breaking point in which these teachers, they want to have their voices heard, and I support them.
Yeah, I do too, man. I mean, I just don't understand, like, why isn't it more of a priority? You know what I'm saying? Because they're doing like two jobs at once, essentially. They have to come up with lesson plans, and they have to damn babysit.
And babysit.
They're doing two jobs, yo. They're doing two jobs, maybe even three.
And you know what? It's when you most of the time when you talk about babysitting, but that is what it is. But mostly when you're talking about babysitting, you're talking about just keeping the kids safe.
Keeping the kids safe, and babysitters usually don't have to keep like 15 kids.
And you have to kind of monitor the relationships between the students as well.
Oh, so it's not
which
just,
can be very tense at
times.
Right.
So it's not just some sort of like static engagement. No. Like I'm teaching and I'm watching you, and that's it. Just stay there. So it's almost like you do have to kind of have a certain type of personality. You have to have certain skills that go way beyond just your ability to teach.
Right.
And your ability to moderate. You have to be very perceptive about students' weaknesses and their strengths. You have to be very perceptive about, like you said, how they're engaging with one another.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's
a tough job, man. And that's what, look, I've made the case, many times that on other issues, I say that the United States of America does not act like a responsible nation. On this subject, I will say the exact same thing, that the United States is not acting like a responsible nation, because the field of education, these are the people that are responsible for educating our youth and really bringing them up into a world where they can be successful and do positive things for our economy, for our society at large, but especially for our economy, because we all want a booming economy, right? We want innovators. We want entrepreneurs, right?
We want American citizens in those jobs.
That's what we want.
We don't want outsiders taking our jobs.
No.
We don't, you know what I'm saying? We
homegrown talent.
Homegrown talent. So if we can't actually provide an adequate infrastructure to facilitate the education of our own people adequately and more broadly and more efficiently, then what do you think is going to happen? You're going to have all these, people from India coming and taking your jobs, like high-paying jobs, like engineer and doctor.
Exactly.
And a lot of people, I hear this animosity, towards people who come over here who are highly educated and who come from a culture where education is everything. Everything. Sometimes to a toxic level, maybe in Japan and India, but still, they have higher standards. And so now you hear all this, I guess, animosity being thrown at groups like Japanese people, Indian people, Arab people for taking these high-paying, high-skilled jobs. I'm just like, well,
where's your accountability in this? You know what I'm saying? I've said it so many times, if you want to foster a society in which we have a strong economy, you have to start at the root. You want to look at root causes. You want to have a very strong and stable foundation.
So you're the
root causes.
You're the anti-Biden.
Anti-Biden.
You're the anti-Biden.
Yes, I am. The anti-Biden.
Anti-Biden. That sounds like anti-Biden.
It does, yeah.
That's eerily sounds similar. But
you want to look at root causes. You want to build a good foundation, a strong foundation. Teachers, educators all across this country should be earning a very high wage because of the things that they must do.
And no, they're not all good.
No, they're not. But
that doesn't mean that you don't kind of do things to show that you value the ones that are good.
If you set them up for success, though, if you provide to them the tools necessary to do a fabulous job.
Why you you sound like a prosperity preacher just for a second.
I'm just saying, we see this all across the country where teachers are complaining
sound like
about.
I felt like a T.D. Jakes type of
T.D. Jakes. I ain't got that double breast.
And you ain't sweating out of every single place in your body either. You're sweating through a 3-piece suit.
But we know that teachers have complained about conditions in their schools, outdated books, the salaries. Look, give these teachers the tools that are necessary to do a fabulous job. Pay them what they're worth, and what they're worth is much more than what they're being paid right now. Even when you go to the average salary, in South Carolina, I believe it's at $50,000 or $51,000. I think that's the average salary right now. And if you compare that to all the other states, I think we're about 35th right now, something like that, 36th. It's somewhere in there. So we're not way at the bottom, but we are towards the bottom. Okay, we're not at the top at all.
And I know people will kind of counter that by saying, well, the cost of living here is lower, but you already detailed that it hasn't kept up with the cost of living of the state.
And inflation.
So
when we talk about the minimum wage, when we talk about salaries, we always have to throw in inflation and productivity. And as we have stated multiple times when we have talked about this, if the minimum wage, if salaries actually kept up with inflation and productivity, especially if you're talking about just the federal minimum wage of $7.25, that would go up past $20 an hour.
Or I'll add something else. Gone up at the same percentage as let's say something like CEO wages.
Right. Yes, because they've been getting multiple.
Even just a percentage.
Yes.
Just a percentage.
They're doing very well. They're doing very, very well. But again, it makes no sense that an educator should be considered like a low-level job. No way, no how should a teacher be earning $30,000 anything, 40, 50, no. Anybody that has ever had kids or had nephews or cousins or anybody, if you've been a kid in your life, which I probably can guarantee it, you probably will understand what teachers mean to the country at large. So pay them what they're worth. So again, in South Carolina, these teachers, I can imagine thousands of them are going to converge on the State House tomorrow. So again, I'm very supportive of their efforts, and I hope that they get something done.
True that, man. True that. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and plug your new book. Paid Him What They're Worth by Will Gaillard. Oh, I mean, TD Jakes, Will Gaillard, TD Jakes, Will Gaillard. Plug in new book, Paid Them What They're Worth.
I don't have a. I'm gonna have to get a double-breasted on the book cover, on the jacket.
You're gonna be doing like some seminars.
Because look, I'm telling you, man, I can get emotional about this one straight up. Because I told you at the time I was a kid, I've been thinking the same thing. Like, damn, like, hold on, man. Everybody wants a good economy, right? Everybody wants, people to have the best education, and we're always talking about, hey, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps and go out there and make something out of yourselves. And okay, well, it starts at the bottom. Like, why aren't you actually funding the effort here? Why aren't you putting enough resources into making this a reality?
Oh, that's where you make the mistake, man. Like, bootstraps means no help. Bootstraps means no assistance. Bootstraps means like from the dirt up.
From the dirt.
From the bottom, now you're there. Gotcha. From the bottom, now you're there.
Yeah, I got you.
Started from the bottom, now you're here.
That's not what they say, but that's what they mean.
Bootstraps.
All right. So that's really all we have. That's really all we have for you. All right, peace out.
Bye. Peace.
I get into my saga a little bit.
Yeah. We need to get into this saga right now, and we're gonna probably have a lot of questions that come forth because of this.
Yeah, I saw somebody in the chat saying, "Oh, it must be an embarrassing story." No, it's not embarrassing at all. It's not embarrassing. It's just frustrating. 2 weeks, over 2 weeks ago now, after that last show that we had, me, my wife, kids, packed it up, went to North Carolina, Fayetteville, to visit some family, visit a brother, because I haven't been up there, and, we just went up there for a couple of days, to just enjoyed all, the nephews and the nieces and everything, just have a
family time.
Yeah, just
family
a
time.
little family time, right? So we had a good time, right? So we took my car, and I've been driving my car. Man, look, I can keep a car, okay? I've had my car since 2002, late 2002. It was a new car in 2002. I've had it ever since. So I've had it over 16 years. Been good to me, right? No reason to do something else, right? I enjoy having no car payment, right? So I still have the same car. Anyway, so we took that car up there, no problems, no anything. So we're getting ready to leave. We get on the road. Driving down, I think it was 210, Highway 210, North Carolina. About 5 minutes away from 95. Once we hit 95, bam, straight shot. Really, I mean, we got to get off on 20.
Got 20.
But still, it's pretty much straight shot. You just hit the interstate, right? 5 minutes from there. All right, so I'm in the right lane. I'm driving right lane. There's a car in the left lane that's a little bit ahead of us, and we're going through a green light. Speed limit is about 45 at the time. That's about what I'm going, because I don't really speed no more. Ever since I had kids, I really don't speed no more, really. So, yeah, I'm going really about 45 miles an hour. The only image I have is I see a car in the intersection, and I see the side of it. So it is very close. Apparently, there was a car coming the opposite direction and turned left right in front of me and that other car. I remember my wife said at the time, or afterwards, the only thing she heard, because she was looking down at the time, and she heard me say, "Oh, shit." I don't even remember saying that, but that would make sense.
It's just verbally reflexive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So immediately, I slammed on brakes. The other car that was in front of me in the other lane hit right into the side of that other vehicle. When they hit, it kind of made like a V of the two vehicles, and I slammed right into the vehicle that turned, and the left side of my vehicle slammed into the other vehicle that hit that vehicle.
Yeah, because I see,
So just completely busted up my car. It's been totaled. I mean, it's
it looked worse than my car.
Yeah,
remember
man.
this the accident I had?
Yeah.
Was that 2017?
Yeah. Damn, it was that long ago now? Or was it last year? No, it probably
No,
was
it was
2017.
last year. It was last year. It was 2018.
It was?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was last year.
Yeah.
It looked worse than my car. So when you sent me the picture, I was like,
Yeah.
that's
I was thinking possibly it wouldn't be total. Possibly.
I was like, I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, put the cover over it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like, close the eyes, close the eyes.
I mean, look. So then, right after the accident, right? You know, the only thing I'm concerned about is, look, is everybody okay? You know, have my wife in the car, got my 2 kids in the back. I'm really just concerned. Like, you know, I look at I feel okay. So I'm like, okay, you know, check the wife, check the kid. I look back, everybody's good. I see the car is smoking. I guess, you know, because I probably look. I think the front wheel, the passenger wheel, I believe the axle broke because it was all twisted all kinds of ways. But I did see some smoke, so you know, I was just like, all right, let's get up out of this car. So you know, I'm checking around to make sure nobody else is gonna hit us. Everybody didn't, you know, stopped at that point. So I get everybody out the car and we go right to the side of the road, and we just kind of stand over there. The other 2 drivers kind of went over there too. So it was just a very chaotic situation. I really, you know, at that time, I really wasn't that concerned about the car, man. And you would think I would be, but I kind of just looked at it like it's a possession. You know what I'm saying? I've had it for so long, and I was like, damn, you know what I'm saying? But really, it's like, my family's okay, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. You just worried about, okay, like my limbs, my family.
Yeah,
like,
I'm like, okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not like seriously injured.
Yeah.
All right. So it's almost like your value system like instantly changes because you
man.
recognize like, yo, I'm better. It's good that I don't have like severe injuries or life-threatening injuries.
Right. So that was my feeling at the time. Like, hey, you know, this could have been a lot worse, and it really could have been a lot worse. Look, you know, given the damage. That feeling changed significantly afterwards, and not right in the moment, but probably like the day later and the days later. So we were near Fort Bragg. The Fort Bragg MP showed up. I don't know why. Because this wasn't on base. I don't know why the MP showed up.
Oh, you figured out why later.
Yeah, I don't know why the MP showed up at all. I just don't understand. And I remember asking one of them too. I was like, "You usually come out for you know, traffic events out of the base, outside the base?" He's like, "No, I didn't know we did that either." So I'm like, okay. So everything's, you know, going on, you know, blah blah blah. All 3 cars had to be towed, this and that. We're about to leave, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, we need, you know, where's the information? You know, we got to get some information and this and that. You know, I was on the phone with my insurance company and this and that, you know, try to get the tow truck and everything like that. But we got to get some information. When you're involved in a traffic accident, it's usually the exchange of information.
You asked me about that.
I asked you about that.
You say, hey, what happened in the accident? What the cop do?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, the cop came to me, wrote down all my information, went to the woman that was involved in the accident with me, pulled out in front of me, got her information. When he went in his little squad car, he put everything out. They have a form for that, and he printed it out right there.
Right.
Gave me something.
Yep.
Gave her something. They facilitated all that to make sure everybody had the information. Now, I'm assuming that the same thing happened in your situation, right?
It did not. It did not. So I was kind of puzzled by that. I'm like, okay, I don't get anything. Like, I don't get anything. They were saying, no, you have to go to the PMO on base to get, you know, a copy of the report and all the information. I'm like, I don't get
all
anything.
that seems a bit extra.
It does seem a little bit extra. Didn't get anything. Insurance information, names, nothing. Didn't get nothing. You have to go to the PMO to get that. And that's the Provost Marshal's office on base. So I'm like, okay. The next day, again, we're leaving to come back to South Carolina. This was Monday, right? We have a show to do on Tuesday. So now I have no car, can't make it home. That's the reason for the first absence, right? So on Tuesday, I'm like, okay, got to go to the PMO, okay. So I go there, get on base, go to the PMO. I said, okay, yeah, here's my name. I need the report. I need the police report. I need the report. No, we don't do that here. You have to file a Freedom of Information Act request. I said, what? I was like, she pointed to the window. See, it's right there. You got to file a Freedom of Information Act request. Like, it's
my run-in with the law was a little bit more severe because I was in cuffs. I was going to what? So I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
I just was like, paid $3 to get the report, and I was like, oh yeah, blah 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 blah.
Oh no.
Like now for like more, I guess, intrusive information like body cam stuff.
Yeah.
That would require.
Yeah. That might require
FOI.
Yes. But my own the accident I was involved in.
It was just an accident.
It was just a traffic accident. Had to file a Freedom of Information Act request. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, okay. So I fill out the paper, give it to her. I'm like, well, I don't have any information. I don't have names. I don't have insurance information. I don't have anything, and I need to get home.
So how, like, you say, like, you're filing a Freedom of Information request, you still have to have some information about the situation,
Right.
so they'll know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, and so the woman that was helping me though, she did say that once I get, and it's on the form too, like, you know, once you get that report, some of the information may be redacted. So at that point, like, you may not be able to get the information. I'm like, well, hold on. So at some point I have to get the information. I'm like, how? I have to file the request and get the information, but you're gonna leave the information out. So then, like I said, so I talked to her, talked to MPs, and so they did provide me with the insurance policies of the other drivers that were involved, and last names as well, right? Just
So
last names.
insurance
not full
policy,
names.
like
Insurance policy.
the insurance company and the policy numbers.
And the policy numbers.
Okay, so we're getting somewhere.
We're getting somewhere, right?
Right.
And I do have to point out here too, I kind of forgot that the individual that was responsible for the accident was a police officer.
And
I believe an undercover police officer. It definitely was a unmarked car. Okay. So again, I have this information now, and I'm like, okay, look, man, sure, I'm getting the rental. You know, I'm going through, you know, this individual's insurance. You know, I'm not paying anything straight up because I wasn't responsible, and that individual did receive a citation because he caused the accident. So I'm like, I'm good. Okay, good. So I go to the process of, you know, trying to, you know, go through that individual's insurance and everything. I call them up. It leads me to another company, a sister company or whatever. I go to that person. And the claim or the policy is not even in his name. It's under some other stuff, like some store or something like that. And it hadn't been in service since like 2016. Hadn't been a current policy since 2016. I'm like, what in the world is going on, right? So I'm calling everybody, man. I'm calling lawyers. I'm calling my insurance. I'm calling the other person's insurance that was not at fault. I mean, this is a whole process, and it takes absolute days, right? It turns out that the insurance information of the person that was responsible, that was actually the updated insurance information. But because of, I don't know, his status, or that it's an undercover car, unmarked car, whatever like that, it doesn't lead anywhere. It just doesn't lead anywhere. So nobody can help me. No, like, everybody's like, well, I can't really do anything. I'm talking to MPs, I'm talking to MP investigators, I'm talking to traffic investigators. Nobody seems to know what's going on. The next day, I actually do get the police report. The police report is heavily redacted. All it has virtually is my information, and that's it. I don't see any other information. I said, look, there's got to be some way to track this guy down because he's responsible. Somebody has to have his information. There must be some way to actually get this information. You can only do that through subpoena. I'm like, oh my goodness. If this had happened anywhere else on earth, regular cops would have showed up and this would not have been an issue whatsoever. But because, one, there is an undercover cop involved, and two, that military cops, the military police showed up, this is doubly frustrating. So again, it's just been a very ridiculous process. There's some injuries that I sustained from the accident as well. So of course I've had to talk to attorneys, and of course I've kind of gotten to run around a little bit. South Carolina attorneys don't really want to deal with it because it happened in North Carolina. Exactly. So I have to deal with, a North Carolina attorney, and one that I was referred to can't take the case because they actually had represented the division, I guess, that the cop works for. So they're like, there's a conflict of interest there. So like I said, it's been a troubling time. It's been a very troubling time. I can see how, and I always have been, and I think I said that earlier on this show too, how like many people only have time to do certain things. They don't have a lot of free time to do other things, get involved in the community, research information and stuff like that. We understand that. There's many people that are really disconnected to a lot of current events. They don't really, dive deep in because they got a lot of other stuff going on. For these past 2 weeks, man, I can tell you honestly, I have not had the interest or really the will to actually dive deep in really any information whatsoever. The Muller report, all of that.
You've been preoccupied.
Yeah, preoccupied, and really all the preoccupation has been mentally, because a lot of this is just waiting. A lot of this is just sitting on your hands and like, okay, well, I have to talk to somebody, but they're not in right now. Or I have to get this report, but I can't get it to tomorrow. Or I'm here at the scene. Oh yeah, the traffic cops are the traffic investigators are gonna help you out, but the system's down. Can you come back tomorrow? I'm in North Carolina. I just want to go home. I don't want to stay for another day. I want to go home. No, you got to come back tomorrow. So, still dealing with it. Still dealing with it. So that's where I've been for the last 2 weeks, and it's still going on. So, like I said, it's just been mentally frustrating. It's been physically frustrating too. Like I said, essentially, I've never been in an accident quite like that. I've been in, multiple accidents before, none where I've actually sustained injuries. And so the moments afterwards, I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything whatsoever. I feel nothing. Like, my knees are a little kind of like, sore. I'm not sure if it's just like me being in the car before, or, I just don't know what it is, but I'm like, I don't really feel anything. They asked if you want to go to the hospital. I'm like, I'm pretty good. I don't really feel anything, so I didn't go. And then days later, and actually, later that night, start to feel some stiffness, some pain. A couple days later, another injury comes out. I feel, hurt in my hand and all. So it's that's just interesting. I've never felt that before. So dealing with that. So yeah, that's where I've been. So that's what has led to the cancellation of 4 shows the last 2 weeks. So
I was sick one of the days.
Yeah,
I was feeling under the weather last week.
Yeah, so that's where we've been at. It's nothing.
I still don't feel 100%, man. I'm still like just groggy everywhere. Not like sick, but just like tired and just groggy. Like just not feeling into it. Like I ain't feeling into it at all.
I don't feel into it at all.
Like probably like. Today was probably the first day I felt into it because I was more engaged on social media,
right?
Like on our page, you know what I'm saying? That's the way I tried to like, at least like exercise like myself, exercise my mind at least, even though I was just like didn't feel it. I tried to like,
I still don't feel into it. Like I said, like Tuesday came, I'm like, man, we can't cancel again. We got to come back. And of course, a certain part of me is like, man, yeah, I do want to do the show. I like to do this, but again, like for the past 2 weeks, I've either been focused on this or like nothing. Just like trivial things, like playing games and like playing, apps on my phone, because I can't dive into something else, because if I even try to do that, I'm back over here. I can't get my mind off of this because this is so absolutely frustrating. And I had to actually do the legwork to find out who the guy was, okay? Because again, all I had was a last name. I remember somebody telling me, well, you're gonna have to find out who he works for. I'm like, how am I supposed to do that? I don't know who this guy works for. He didn't tell me who he worked. Nobody told me who he worked for. How am I supposed to find out who he works for? So, just in the process of all these days, going by, I finally decided to do a search on the internet. And I didn't know if his last name was actually even his last name because they mangled my last name on the sheet that they actually gave me. So I'm like, man, they recorded one car's license tag incorrectly. I'm like, this is sloppy as can be. So anyway, but I did go on the internet and I found him. I actually found him. I only found him because he was engaged in some police brutality.
So when you looked him up, you discovered that he was into some shenanigans.
Yeah. I seen something that could be described as like some police brutality, some some bad policing. And so I guess I'm lucky that the internet has a long memory, and I'm lucky that he put himself out there and he made I don't know if national news, but he made news enough for somebody to write about it and his picture to be out there. So I finally do have his his actual first name. I have who he works for now. So now I actually can, try to get somewhere. I have some information now. So that's a good thing. I'm definitely not letting up because I have incurred multiple costs because of this. And I'm not about to just suck that up. No. Like, I'm going forward. And, we'll see what happens. But I'm going to keep pushing because I wasn't responsible for this accident. I had a lawyer tell me, I ain't going to put him on blast. This mug actually said, because he declined the case. He was a lawyer in South Carolina. This dude actually said, well, he was like, was the cop drunk or anything like that? I was like, how the hell am I supposed to? I don't know. Like, if he was on duty, he probably did have to undergo some kind of testing, but I don't have access to that. Yeah. But he's like, yeah, I don't think I can provide any value. I don't want you to feel like I'm just kind of like, dismissing you. I hope you don't put anything bad on social media about us. I'm like, that's what you're concerned about? I was like, that's interesting. I should do it now. But I didn't.
I'm like, wow, you just put the idea in my head.
Exactly.
Like, you saying you don't want to, like, I guess, come off as dismissive, but you actually are dismissive.
Yeah. Like, I hope you don't put anything bad out there about us on social media.
Like,
damn.
But like, that sounds like, it's like warning labels, right? Like warning labels are there because usually it was inspired by somebody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So why would he kind of insert that in there, like prompt that? Like that sounds like maybe they had an issue before.
Yeah.
He's a little there's some trauma there.
And this was the same attorney that was telling me like North Carolina, the laws in North Carolina, South Carolina are different, and in North Carolina, I guess it's easier to be found like liable for damages, even if you say even if you weren't issued a citation or anything like that. So he was saying that I could probably be found at fault because I hit a car that was in front of me, and so I should have had a safe enough distance to stop. And I'm like, dude, and this is a lawyer I sent the information to. I sent everything to. I have documents of everything.
Somebody else was kind of violating or kind of they didn't take the right of way.
Yes.
They didn't have the right of way.
Did not have the right of way. I slammed right into the car that obstructed my movement going forward through a green light. And you're saying that I should have maintained a safe distance to where I could have been able to stop? I'm like, okay, yeah, you definitely not the lawyer. No, you're definitely not the lawyer for me. No, you're definitely not the lawyer.
So, along with your book, Pay Them What They're Worth.
Yeah.
You're coming out with a kind of a mystery.
Yeah, man.
A mystery series, right? You come out with mystery series based on this situation. Yeah. We just got to come up with a name for it.
And see, and what I provided to you was a very condensed version of what I've been going through for the last 2 weeks. And like you were saying, like at the beginning, like, people you've told, like, man, I got more questions, like, how did this happen? And like, what? And so I've talked to my insurance company, and they're like, what? Like, so you didn't get any information? And then the police report was redacted? Like, what? Like, what? Hold on. And then, and the MP investigators, they try to get information through the VIN of the car and the tag, and they didn't get anything? Really? And then they do a search. My insurance company, they do a search, like 3 different searches, and they don't come up with anything. Even like, damn, this is real funny. Like, I don't understand what's going on here. It's again, aggravating. Doesn't do it justice. It's been a nightmare. It's been a nightmare. And like I said, I've just been like in this corner trying to deal with that and trying to do other things as well. And it's just has not been going well. But like I said, I'm glad that I was able to, come and do enough research to where, I don't sound like an idiot where I'm talking about different issues, because I wouldn't do that. If I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to sit up here and actually talk about stuff. I'm not going to do that at all. But yeah, like I said, this is I guess this is kind of refreshing though, because even though I'm talking about this, at this moment, I don't feel upset at this moment. So this has kind of been a break from reality, at least for a couple hours. So, hopefully this will all be resolved in due time. But that's my real life drama. So, that's the story. All right. Gabriel, all of you, appreciate you, saying you, just expressing, you're thinking about me, whatever, what can you do to help? You can't do anything. I mean, at this point, I can barely do enough, like I said, I'm going to have to get an attorney to help me out with this, because nobody else seems to be able to help me out with this. And like, I've called the division that this officer does work for as well, and they don't seem to be willing to help. They kind of, oh yeah, somebody's gonna get back to you. Okay. The first time, mug hung up, didn't even get the officer's name. I just said, I'm like, yeah, an officer that works in this division was responsible for a crash. I have been unable to talk to the insurance company or anything like that. Nobody has been able to get that. So I'm calling you. I need to talk to somebody. Okay, what's your name, number? Okay, somebody's going to give you a call back. But hold on. You don't even know what happened.
So again,
you don't know what happened. You don't even know who this involves.
See, and see, this is like, and this is just a damn accident. This is not some like grand conspiracy where you got shot or something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Something like
I'm involved in something.
Like something like real juicy. Just a simple accident. And see, like, so now it doesn't just become about this one person. Now you have like other people involved who don't even want to like help you in this situation, and they can. Right. Over something so damn small like an accident.
It should be simple.
Should be simple. You ain't trying to like get this dude fired or nothing like that. Think about that.
And see, I'm not even at the time. Like my wife said, man, we should have been like a lot angrier at the scene. And like I'm just not even like that. Initially right at the scene, because I even talked to this guy and he admitted fault. He told us he was an officer. I think he said he was retiring in 2 months. And blah blah blah.
Maybe that has something to do with it.
It could be. But he was saying, yeah, he was responsible. He's just glad nobody was, was seriously injured, this and that. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, I didn't express anger or anything like that. Like I said, I'm just in the moment like, hey, I'm walking, I'm talking. I don't feel any pain really right now. My kids are good. My wife is good. We're good. It's a tense situation. My car looks like it's been crumpled, but hey, we're alive. We're breathing. We're good. I'm good. This is just an unfortunate situation I'm going to have to deal with, but I'm good. Again, that moment was short-lived, and just the complications the days after was just like, man, okay, nah, that wasn't good. I thought it was all going to turn out like it was okay. Well, I wasn't at fault. So this should all fix itself. No. I got to work for it. But I'm going to work for it, man, because I can't do anything else, man. Straight up. Yeah. And like, so now we're living with one car. You understand? It's not an ideal situation, man. Not an ideal situation. So like I said, other people, I'm not saying that my situation is the bottom level, or other people aren't dealing with other things that, pale, that makes my situation pale in comparison. Not saying that at all. It's just, this is definitely frustrating. It's definitely frustrating. And I'm just looking forward to the day where I can actually say, like, okay, this is behind us. I can look back at it and be like, yeah, that was some bullshit over there. We got through it and we're good now. So I think the days after, I was more frustrated with myself than anything else, because of like the position I felt like I put myself in, because I'm thinking to myself, well, damn, if I had made smarter life decisions and had more money in the bank, I could just snap my finger. I could go get another car. It won't be an issue. Like, I could still be dealing with this troublesome, situation where I'm have to fight to get restitution. But
at least the fight won't be as stressful and taxing on your situation.
Because when you're talking about the financial situation, the situation not having a car now, that's like I said, that gets more stressful. And
kind of how that influences how you, I guess, deal with like transportation with your you and your family, the logistics behind that.
Right. School, work, just everything, man. It's like I said, man. So that's some real life LTMB story right there. That's what I've been dealing with, man. But like I said, I appreciate you, hearing me and wanting to help. But like I said, I just gotta fight for it, So I'll definitely, keep you updated once this hopefully comes to a positive. I don't know, a positive, but once this comes to a conclusion, and I hope I'm satisfied with that conclusion, I'll let you know. So, but that's where it's at. So, I guess it's time to take some calls.
Right? It is time to take some calls.
To take some calls. All right. So we're gonna set that up now, and haven't done this in a while.
Remember that number?
Hell no. It has been erased from my memory. That's the wrong button. Is that the wrong button? Nope, that is the right button. See, I don't even know what I'm talking about. So the number to call in, if you so choose and have something to say, is 669-900-6833. I don't think I remembered anything but the 6833. I did remember that. But yeah, we definitely want to hear from you. If there's something that we've talked about where you want to chime in and give some input, we would love to hear from you. Maybe if there's something else that we didn't get to today, you're welcome to talk about that as well. So definitely call in and we will get you on the line.
Mm-hmm. Whoever was talking to World Dead Now, I think World Dead Now had said something. I don't know if it was Trev. I can't remember who it was. I've been trying to follow the chat, but I'm kind of over here trying to moderate. But somebody was surprised that, I guess, World Dead Now said something about Trump's crime family connections.
Oh, really?
Then World Dead Now was right. I mean, like, he has a history of criminal behavior. You have to kind of like go out of your way to ignore it.
You would.
You have to go out of your way to ignore it. A good podcast to follow that stuff. I think it's like WNYC. If you go to WNYC something, I can't remember if it's .com or whatever. It's WNYC and there's a podcast called Trump Inc. It's like, has over a year and a half worth of detailed information on like Trump's business dealings and whatnot. He is currently right now, and this should alarm people. He actually has current lawsuits with cities to try to lower his tax burden in real estate. You see what I'm saying? Like currently right now, I forgot how many. It's like 20 or 30 different lawsuits. And what he does is, like, when he promotes himself and when he promotes his properties, he talks about how great it is, how much value it has. And that's how he gets investors and that's how he gets tenants. But then when tax time comes, you know what he does? He then fights to say, oh, you're overvaluing it. It's only worth this much. So to lower his tax burden. That's what real estate developers do. So he's currently got like over 24 lawsuits with different cities to lower his tax burden. He's also campaigning to eliminate bribery laws, international bribery laws. If you also look up why his casino had to close, his Taj Mahal, is because he wasn't reporting certain transactions, because casinos are, I guess, well known for being used as money laundering facilities. He wasn't reporting certain transactions. And then you got Trump University too, that kind of he had to pay, I guess, fines and settlements for. And he also, his Trump foundation, his family's foundation, had to kind of shut down, and they are now banned from opening or being a part of any kind of organization or foundation or charity because of
can't be on board.
Can't be on board. So yeah, it's a damn crime family. And his sister as well. His sister, Trump's sister, had to step down for being a judge. He didn't have to, but she stepped down on her own because there was some allegations of misconduct, and she stepped down to avoid, I guess, consequences. Even his damn son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner's father, Charles Kushner, he's a felon. He went to jail for tax evasion, witness tampering, and illegal campaign contribution. So that's just a snippet. So yeah, it's a crime family.
But it doesn't touch Trump though. It doesn't touch Trump though. Trump is just surrounded by crime. But
just so happens his one of his mentors, Roy Cohn, was Nixon's lawyer. But no criminality involved either. And one of his advisors, Roger Stone, yeah, he did a lot of Nixon's dirt. He was a Nixon aide. So all this stuff is connected, but no, he's not a part of crime at all.
It's reaching, man.
It's reaching.
It's reaching. All right, so we have our first callers coming from 860. You are on the air live with LTMB.
Mike, Will, it's Gabriel.
Gabriel. Good to hear from you.
What's going on, man? Well, welcome back, man. So glad to see you are alive and well.
Yeah, man. It's like I said, it's been a difficult situation, but we are here. You know, we're mostly healthy and everything. You know, glad to be back, man.
Yeah, mostly.
Man, every time we get I get head up, get ready to go see the live feed, and all of a sudden there's a message up, due to unforeseen circumstances. I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, what I wanted to talk about, you actually brought up a couple good points about the Trump-Nixon connection. Oddly enough, did you know that Ben Stein, the guy that CNN and Fox uses as one of their political commentators, was Nixon's head speechwriter?
Yeah, you're talking about the Clear Eyes guy, right?
The monotone.
Yeah, the guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, right. Clear Eyes. Yeah. I remember I wrote an article about him a long time ago because he said something on Newsmax.
Newsmax. I remember that.
Newsmax. Anyway, it's just really surprising because we've had so much Russiagate hysteria. We've had so many people pushing this so goddamn hard. They have been running from goalpost to goalpost and moving them every time. This is the turning point. This is the linchpin. This is the watershed moment. I swear to God, if I hear any of those adjectives again, I'm going to vomit. Problem is that it's not Russia.
Right.
It's Trump.
Right.
Trump is just a garden variety criminal who did it on a larger scale, period. I mean, you're not going to get him on collusion. And what? If we're going to impeach him, what happens next? Pence? Honestly, you really want to see what happens when the Handmaid's Tale comes true with Pence? No, I don't want to do that. Hell no.
So I mean, that's definitely a relevant point to bring up because you definitely want to see who would come in. Of course, it'd be Pence that would come in after him, and of course he's a nightmare as well.
Unless we could snare them.
Yeah, but I don't. From what we know, I don't believe anything like that would happen. The only thing that I would say, look, if it looks like the Democrats would have enough, I guess, weaponry to go at right here. It seems like they have enough ammunition to at least start impeachment proceedings. I don't know if they're going to go there. I'm not saying that I support them in doing it. I do say that, like the clip that we showed earlier with J.W. Verrett, the case that he made, I think, was good in him saying that if you don't do it at this point, then it does set a precedent, which presidents coming into the future, if they do likewise things and they obstruct justice and they commit crimes, you could say the same thing. Like, they shouldn't be brought up on impeachment proceedings as well. So I don't know. I just don't know.
Well, but see, that brings a whole other question into consideration. Can a sitting president be charged with a crime? I think they can.
I think they should.
Honestly, no one is above the law.
No.
It shouldn't be impeachment and then charge them. They should be charged with a crime that causes impeachment.
Yeah. I think so too. But this DOJ feels as though you cannot indict a sitting president.
Good God. Barr is I don't even want to begin. He has such a history that is scary as hell. Man. But one other thing, I'm sorry to take up so much time, but I wanted to say one other thing before I let you guys go, besides the fact that I am so happy you're still alive. Well, let me tell you.
Appreciate that, man.
Is that, I really would like to see a unification. Now, by unification, I think I've said this before, we have a lot of very strong progressives in the Democratic field right now. We have a lot of milquetoast pseudo-progressives in the field right now. But we know who is who. We know who walks the walk. We know who talks the talk. We know who's been fighting for 40 years, and we know the people that are strongest that are new coming in. Instead of all of us fighting on the debate stage, unify. Set up the cabinet. Set up all the positions that are going to be filled by this presidency. And take it as a full frontal force against what's coming. Instead of being, I'm for Tulsi and Warren, or I'm for Bernie and Warren, or I'm for Sanders and Turner, or this, let's figure out and unify, because we're not going to get divided again. But that's just my thought. That's all.
Got you, man.
We appreciate you calling in, Gabriel. Very good hearing from you.
Great to be talking to you again, man. Jeez.
All right,
thanks,
hope to hear from you again soon.
Bye-bye.
All right, so we're going to go to the next caller. It's 217 area code. You are on the air live.
Hi, it's Andrew from Champaign.
Andrew?
Yeah.
All right. What's going on,
Hello?
Andrew?
All right, first of all, just glad to see you guys backing up again. I'm glad you're both doing healthy. I'm glad that your families are okay. I just want to kind of go off of what the last caller, I believe Gabriel, was talking about, and I'm kind of curious what you guys' opinions are on proceeding with impeachment for the purpose of unsealing certain documents that kind of the Trump administration has been going out of their way to try and keep Congress from getting their hands on. Do you see any benefit for pushing for that, or do you think it would hurt? It would hurt politically. There would be backlash that would make it not worth it. Because I think there is some argument to be made that transparency needs to be brought forth towards the people.
I would tend to agree with you on that. I think, whatever they do, it doesn't matter what they do, there is going to be backlash. So I don't think you should be worried about that. And I'm going to take the same position we took when it came to when Hillary Clinton emails, not just the DNC emails were released. They were probably obtained in a legal way, but we weren't really worried about that. We were worried about the truth they were revealed.
Right.
So
yeah, and that's the same way I feel about.
And this is the funny thing. Most of the people who watch the show, most of the people who even don't watch the show who are Trump supporters, they feel the same way. Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The truth came out. The truth came out. But yet they're still talking about FISA warrants. And how, oh no, it was done illegally. It was stolen. He was illegally spied on. His campaign was legally spied on, which is not true. But even if it was, why would you care about that if the truth came out? If the truth came out based on an investigation that was started and things were revealed, why does it matter how it came out? You got to take the same position you took when it came to Hillary Clinton and the DNC emails being released. So why you care about how the information came out now?
Right.
But in this case, in your question actually involves I guess, a legitimate request for information and documents. This is actually a request that the House Judiciary Committee actually has the authority to ask for, and I think they should be able to do their jobs. It's called the Oversight Committee, and they should not be kept from doing their jobs. I don't really care how you feel. It shouldn't matter how you feel about the individuals there. I don't like that. That's not a good precedent to set. I don't care how you feel about Democrats. We already know, you already know how we feel. We already know how you feel about the Democratic Party. That should not cause this reflexive knee-jerk reaction for people to just defend Trump at all costs because it's Democrats.
Okay, yeah.
You
so we're in agreement here.
I do believe that it's necessary for this to come out. I just don't understand why Trump is advising members of the White House or aides in the White House to keep their mouth shut or to not obey with subpoenas, and that includes Barr as well. It just seems so odd. And if he's not covering something up, that would be extraordinarily relieving. It's like, why is he putting people through this? Go ahead, man.
You know what Trump values most in anybody in his cabinet, right? I mean, I think it's not a secret.
Self-preservation himself?
It's loyalty. That's the main thing he cares about. I mean, he's made tomorrow. What is it? Tomorrow the 1st. I don't know, the day after that. Whatever May 1st is it's like loyalty day, whatever the fuck that means. But
yeah, I heard about that.
It's really backwards where we have an administration that is going beyond the scope of their own jobs to defend a president that doesn't honestly. They don't have the integrity to. It just seems silly to be protecting this person because it's going to damage your career in the long run. Because I mean that seems to be what most politicians care about. But I guess to my main point is I think we're in agreement that the House Oversight Committee have the jurisdiction to reach these documents, but because of basically the leash that Trump has on these people in his administration, is it worth pursuing impeachment for the sole purpose of getting this judicial right, bringing it to the Supreme Court or whatever, some kind of judicial override so that they can get these documents without having to, play this stupid political game.
Yeah, even if it doesn't result in his impeachment, I think it will definitely influence public perception.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I don't even necessarily, I just think that it's important that the public sees these documents and understands, where his financial holdings are, because we don't know that. For all we know, he's still invested, and he probably is still invested.
Oh, no.
He is.
He is, and they've admitted as much.
We know he's violated the Emoluments Clause several times. I mean, that's not a question at this point. We already know that.
And him and his son have justified, these business connections because they didn't know they were going to win. They didn't want to lose them.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to lose the business connection, so they didn't know they were going to win. So they just kept
what it was out of the gate. And it worked too well, is kind of the way that I view it. But that doesn't, just because you run and don't expect to win and then happen to win, that doesn't excuse you from the consequence of your legal action.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I think we're kind of, I just kind of want to get your general views on it. I think we kind of are all in agreement where impeachment is something worth pursuing, but it's not something to be hopeful about.
Not because it's like we think he's going to be ousted, or we even.
Yeah,
I'm not
but
really.
To me, I'm not
even thinking
as well as have this kind of transparency with.
I think that's
if
more
we set
important,
this idea where a president doesn't have to share anything and they're above the law, they don't have any kind of they don't have any kind of accountability. That's absurd. It's not a partisan thing, but it's being made into one.
Right.
Yeah, you know why too. Maybe there's
some other. Well, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, you're welcome. Appreciate it.
All right, great talking to you guys.
You too.
All right, so let's get to the next caller, and let me see. That was 217. Okay, so we're gonna get to 612 area code. You're on the air live.
Hey, what's up, guys?
All right, there's hold on. There's some feedback. There's something going on. I can't really hear you too well.
Because,
is
thing. You want to be
sounds like
alright.
it sounds like an '80s movie or something.
It
Like,
sounds like.
I got too much traffic driving by. I'm almost out of it.
You might be.
Huh?
Might have.
It's raining out and there's
No, he said he's in traffic or something like that.
I'm getting to a safe haven. Just a second.
Yeah, it sounds like a combination of.
Yeah, maybe call back. Call back or something.
It's gotta be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll just go straight to my phone and get off my Bluetooth. Is it better now, though, or not?
Yeah, we can kind of hear you.
But
I heard something about a Bluetooth.
I'll get off my Bluetooth and call back.
All right.
All right. That's probably what it is, though, too.
Yeah.
Sound like Stephen Hawking mixed with R2D2.
Yeah.
With
something.
Yeah. With some mucus.
All right. Is this the same number? No, this is
No, it's a different number.
All right. All right. So we have another caller. It's 253 area code. Hello, 253.
Hey, you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Who's this?
Hello? Hey, it's Jordan from Montana again.
Jordan,
What's up, Jordan?
What you got for us, man? What's on your mind?
Oh man.
Sounds like a lot's on your mind.
I know, man. You got a
Yeah,
gorilla
I'm
on
so
your
glad you're back. It's like a habit now. It's a tradition now for me to regulate my drinking with your show. I drink twice a week. I go get my bottle of Jack, and then I'm like, all right, let's do this.
That's what's up right there. Changing drinking habits over here.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know what I want to talk about. I guess, like, one thing that's been concerning me is the other day I saw it was like a protest against, like, white nationalists because they were, like, planning a meeting or an event or something. And
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I saw that. I
You
forgot
saw
what
that?
city. I forgot what city, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I forget where it was, but so I was in the chat, and then like the chat was just full of Trump supporters, but not only just Trump supporters, but like literal Nazis. Like, you know how the Nazis say honk?
Yeah, they say honk.
that?
Yeah, they say honk honk now because it's like that's kind of disguised as HH, Heil Hitler. Yeah, so yeah, honk honk is the new, the thing to trigger the libs.
Yeah, and like,
to
and then the
signal
whole
their-
like the honkler meme that they
honkler, yeah.
co-opted because they see society as like a
clown
big
show.
joke or whatever.
Yeah, big joke,
Yeah, dude, like that shit is like concerning me, man.
And it coincided with me opening up this window too.
So it's an application.
Yeah. Did it come back? I think it came back.
I'm not gonna be able to hear.
Is it coming
Oh,
back?
it's coming.
Okay.
I think it's back.
Damn, that is it. All right,
There
so
we
I think
go.
we know what the problem is.
Yeah, we
now.
know what the problem is now. It's one of those things you can't like recreate.
Yeah.
But yeah, we recreated it by accident, so now we know.
But yeah, I think it was life after hate.
Life after hate.
Life
That's
after
right.
hate.
And so
Yeah.
it was almost like a 12-step program
Yep.
for white supremacists and Nazis to reform themselves and get back into society. And the co-founder was a former white supremacist himself. So he knows exactly how to, reform individuals because he knows why they sought those groups out.
And he cut funding.
He cut funds for that group.
Yes, cut the funding for that group.
Also, there is a report that I think is the FBI, the division that deals with, I guess, white nationalist terrorism. Now, it's just kind of rumored. I can't say it's been confirmed that particular division or department has been not completely broken up, but the resources that's diverted to that department have been kind of slightly lowered. So this is some purposeful shit because you can't, it makes sense because it's like, I do think in order to further this kind of, I guess, capitalist dystopia, you kind of have to use, I guess, the fear of fascists to do that. You can't, you have to do that. It's necessary for this capitalist dystopia to continue.
Yeah, man. I'm kind of a history nerd, and like from what I'm seeing, like of the alt-right in America right now, of like the stuff they talk about is with the parallels of like the Nazi regime. It's scary because like they talk about like race realism and then like cultural Marxism, which would be like cultural Bolshevism equivalent. You know, like it's scary, man.
See, I don't know if it does seem like that white supremacy, you know, white nationalism is on the rise, and I don't know if I don't know that it matters, but it seems that what's on the rise is them coming out. I don't know that the numbers are actually on the rise. Yeah. I think they were already there, but they are feeling emboldened to actually be like loud about it and public about it now.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, I've been watching this other guy recently on YouTube. He's called Faraday Speaks. He's actually live right now. So after we're done here, I think that everybody should probably check him out because he's a former alt-writer, and I saw him talk to an alt-right guy. He seems like somebody who can... Like,
oh, yeah. I know about him, man. I came across him last week for the first time, and I watched that video that talked about his descent into the alt-right and his and how he came out of it and why he kind of got involved in it. It was very informative and good. It was good. It was good. It was good, informative.
Yeah, I went on there and I told everybody to check you guys out as well. So I thought I would just give him a shout out.
True.
Okay.
All right, well, cool, guys. I'll see you next time.
All right, man.
Appreciate it, Jordan.
Peace.
All right, so we're going to try the last caller again, if I can find this screen. Where is it even at? It's gonna be like disappearing.
It probably happened when you open that window.
Yeah. See, like it just goes away.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. Yeah, there it is.
All right, anyway, okay, so let's go to 612 again. 612, you there?
Yeah, what's up, fellas?
All right, now we can hear you.
All right, sounds good. Good to hear you guys again. This is World That Now is in the chat again.
Okay, what's going on?
I'm a Trump supporter. I think when he said it was chock full of Trump supporters, it was just me, I'm pretty sure. And I'm not very diehard, and I'm not alternative right at all. But yeah, the guy was threatening my life in chat, and I thought that was kind of amusing.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't know who kicked him out, but thank you.
Yeah, I muted his ass. I was trying to go through, but I had to go through because there was a period where the screen wasn't up, so I had to go all the way back up and then start from the beginning.
I don't know. Don't mistake kindness for weakness, Rock Lee. All right. So anyway, yeah, I want to talk about Joe Biden. When I tuned in, you guys were talking about Biden a little bit.
Oh yeah, a little more.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it to 2020. I mean, he's a front runner now, but I would think the Democrats, they got to go Bernie or bust kind of thing. I mean, in 2016, I really thought Bernie was going to win, even when people kept telling me, oh, Hillary and the superdelegates. I was like, no, but I mean, she's Hillary and people don't like her. Like, and that's probably what cost him the election in 2016. But I think in 2020, it's going to be rough for any Democrat. I think Tulsi Gabbard's the best candidate, but that Bernie might be closer. I don't know. I was just interested in your guys' thoughts, but I just think Biden has so many problems.
Yeah, he does.
As far as his image, I mean, my God.
But see, this is the same party that nominated Hillary Clinton in 2016. So
well, yeah,
even though they seem to be
factor.
In rhetoric, they say that we're looking towards the future and we're trying to learn from our mistakes. And I forgot the slogan that they came up with, like right after the loss by Hillary Clinton. But we know that the more things change, the more things stay the same, and they have no interest in actually putting forth a candidate that will actually, I guess, bring about radical change, or what they view as radical change. It's not really radical change, but it's too radical.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because think about what that means. Like, think about what that would mean for them. So it's not about anything. They don't have like this personal vendetta against Bernie Sanders. They really don't.
I don't think it's personal at all.
It's not personal at all. But think about like if he was the face of their party? How would it look? How would that look?
I do agree.
How would they? Because it would almost like put them in a position where they would have to change. It would almost, if Bernie kind of rests on his platform, and he, you know what I'm saying, is he rests on his platform, the same platform he has now. Like, man, like,
what would be a bigger change? You know, because look, with Trump and the Republicans, they have the same agenda.
They have the same agenda.
Trump goes about his business in a very different way, stylistically, rhetorically.
He says the quiet parts loud.
Yes, so they've had to change to accept that kind of nonsense from him. But with the Democrats, if somebody like Bernie was in office, they would actually have to change, like, agenda. They would have to change their agenda.
He's redoing all the trade deals, though. Does this stuff make the news?
That's right. I'm surprised. Like if you Google that junk, I was like, there's not a lot of reporting about it. Not a lot of reporting. About it. I'm glad you brought that up.
But it's bolstering the economy. I mean, well, I don't know about Bernie. I wasn't talking about Bernie. I was talking about Trump. But one thing I read about Biden, and I was curious, and I'm in a bubble just like we all are. But I read that he wasn't interested in Barack Obama's endorsement, and I was wondering if you guys came across that in any of your news.
I saw that. He claimed, I know what you're talking about. He claimed that Barack Obama begged me not to run.
Well, that was in 2016, though, right?
Why?
No,
I believe that was 2016.
That just seems weird. I don't know.
Yeah, he said he begged him not to run in 2016.
Yeah.
But I was like, we knew you weren't going to run though. Like you said, because you were going through like his son's health issues and his death, right? So I was like, I guess what he's trying to say. You know what he's trying to say? He's kind of trying to reference back to that time because he's trying to say that, like, you know, he's probably trying to like put it out there like, yeah, he probably would have won. Probably low key put it out.
No, I'm still. I called weeks ago about political corruption, and I'm still on that bandwagon. And you were right. Will asked me, like, well, what are you going to do if these people don't get indicted? And it's like, no, I don't know that I'd vote for Trump if they don't. But you can see the workings. You can see it. I mean, there's no way he could go after anybody when he's under Russian investigation. He's literally being portrayed in the media as a Russian puppet, and I think we're going to find out very soon that that is just not the case at all. I mean, did you see any Venezuelan news today?
I think he's
what news? What'd you say?
With Maduro running over protesters and shit.
Yeah, I saw.
I mean, that's who the Russians are behind, and I don't think Trump would have said Guaido's my guy if he was with Maduro. So I think, I don't think we're going in there. I hope we don't. I just am not about another war zone. But
I heard about the whole Guaido.
I don't know, man. I think
civilians to take the country.
Yeah, I saw that video where he was trying to galvanize support from like folks
regular people to like storm the gates.
A coup.
Yeah,
a coup.
like armed and try to take control. Like, wow, man.
Yeah, that is. I don't know. But it's a scary situation down there, and it just kind of it blips across our news, you know, and I don't know. It's just a strange situation, but they definitely the Russian and Chinese are interested in that area, and maybe more than we are so far. But I don't know if we'll stay away forever, and that could be a scary thing. Who knows? But
no, I don't know. As far as
it was nice to talk to you guys. I told my baby I was gonna sing, but I'll let you guys get the other callers if you got some.
What was that? What? We missed.
What was that last part?
What?
I wanted to sing, man.
You wanted to sing?
Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be all right.
Oh, he gets
we need some background. You should have told us before, man.
Had some instrumentals, man. Ready for you.
We could have set this up for you.
Yeah, dude,
that song is easy to find. That instrumental is easy to find.
Oh shit, I miss you guys though, and there's no hard feelings about Rock Lee, but people are strange, man. There's just people get triggered for kind of no reason, and it's unfortunate. I don't know. All I said was I'm an independent who will likely vote for Trump. it was the truth. I haven't voted since '04, but I'm going to vote in 2020 because it's the most fascinating time politically since I've been alive. I'm 45 years old, and it's unbelievable. But yeah, I don't.
You calling in, man.
I just don't. I don't think he's a white nationalist at all. He denounced them right after he said there were good people on both sides. He said, "I'm not talking about the white nationalists." I don't know. It's just like this guy says things, and the media puts him on 9,000 lies, and then it's like, okay, well, what if he was telling mostly truth, and the media was constantly lying to people? Because that Russian thing was fucking ridiculous. Sorry, pardon my French. I made it so far without dropping an F-bomb. But yeah, you guys have a great night.
All right, good.
Yeah, go ahead.
You go, man.
Yeah, we're gonna let you go.
Appreciate
bro.
that, man.
Yeah, all right. Have a good one, guys.
You too.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, here's the thing, like, whether he is or not, I don't think matters. He knows what kind of people he can galvanize and get support from, because everything, remember, he's a businessman, so everything is transactional.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so all he does is he kind of taps into, I guess, the fringe and the most extreme, because kind of that's what he does for a living. He is fringe. He's fringe. He's extreme. He over exaggerates. That's how he sets up his business model. Everything I do is the greatest. My steaks, my knives, my hotels, my golf courses, my resorts, my buildings. Everything is the nicest. So he's kind of like, he's a fringe businessman, and everything is transactional for him. So he's going to try to get support from anybody he can. So so it doesn't really matter if, it does matter if he is or not, but at the end of the day, he is still trying to get support from that certain group.
Look, I believe he is. I mean, I believe he's racist. I don't have any problems, stating that. I believe he's a bigot. I believe he's a sexist person. I believe these things about Donald Trump, and it's not just about one particular situation. It's about a long track record. But even before he became president, and his businesses and his his buildings, right? There were grievances, right, filed by people of color, right?
What about Central Park 5?
Which he still has not apologized for. He took out a full-page ad.
And he's kind of, I don't know if he has some other obligations, but this year he's skipping out on acknowledging the Teacher of the Year, who just happened to be a black man.
We can look, like I said,
that could be a coincidence.
He's retweeted, neo-Nazis. It's a long track record. It's not just like one thing. Like we've talked about the meteorologist in New York. Remember his flub? Talking about Martin Luther King Jr. and Martin Luther King. Okay, if that was the only thing on Trump, I'd be like, man, y'all are overreacting, man. I mean, like, that could have been, you don't have anything else on him that is just that. Yeah, give him a chance, man. That's a little overreaction. I don't think you can call him racist because of that. It's not anything small like that. It's, like I said, it's a laundry list of certain situations where it's like he welcomes this. When he was campaigning in 2016, remember that one video? Like, he was at a rally and he was like, I guess there was like one black guy in the audience. He was like, yeah, look at my black over there. So I forgot exactly the way he said it.
That's
look at
my African American.
There's my African American. Thank you for correcting me. Who the hell talks like that? Who the hell would? Hey, I can't even. Nobody talks like that. I mean, some people would talk like that. Like regular would talk like that.
Hey man,
like I said, there's just a litany of situations where he provides you with the evidence that like he views certain types of people in different ways.
So yes, all that's connected. He views certain type of people in a certain type of way. He believes certain people should be in power. Right. He believes certain people should be counting his money. Talked about that too.
He surely did.
You see what I'm saying? So like, he believes in consolidating power to a small group of people, and with that, he proved that by gleefully passing the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. That's partially, Republicans are partially responsible for that too. Yeah. So it makes sense that he kind of appeals to kind of people with fascist tendencies, because that's essentially what fascism is. Those two, fascism and capitalism, kind of, they need each other, because it's all about consolidation of power into a few hands.
He even Donald Trump, President Trump, even recently he
in privatization too. So.
Yeah, but recently he talked about the NFL again.
Oh, I know.
He talked about
where
the
you're
NFL
going.
again.
I know where you're going.
Yeah. Like because just this weekend, it started on Thursday. It was the NFL draft. It was the NFL draft, and the number one pick out of Oklahoma, Kyler Murray, right, quarterback, going to the Arizona Cardinals. Donald Trump, he had a rally, and he brought up the NFL draft. And he said, "I was actually watching the NFL draft." So, and he chose this time to offer congratulations. So, usually when somebody does that, that's not really connected with the sport, they congratulate the first overall pick. But he didn't have any commentary for Kyler Murray whatsoever. Kyler Murray
he's
is
not
black.
only first overall pick in the NFL, he's the first overall pick.
Well, no, he wasn't. He was the first round.
First
pick.
round. Sorry, first round. The first time
in the MLB draft.
Yeah, it was the first time ever somebody was first round in both the NFL, both sports.
First time in history somebody first round in baseball draft, first round football. Historic. He had no commentary whatsoever for Kyler Murray, who is black. The second overall pick in the NFL draft was Joey Bosa's brother. What's his name?
Nick
Bosa. Nick Bosa out of Ohio State.
The
Ohio State. He is a defensive end going to San Francisco. Okay. Interesting.
It's interesting.
A little interesting. But he had words for Nick Bosa, and he had congratulatory words for him because Nick Bosa supports Donald Trump.
Supports Donald Trump, is very vocal.
Yeah.
Very vocal about that support.
Right.
And there's some other things that go along with that support that will not surprise you at all.
No.
Nick Bosa has retweeted Tummy Larva.
Yep.
Or
Tummy Larva is now following him.
AKA Nazi Barbie. Anybody that kind of retweets anything she has to say is suspect to me. He also had some words for Colin Kaepernick, and he called Colin Kaepernick a clown.
A clown.
On Twitter.
A clown.
So, I mean, you can kind of connect the dots here. And
he also said Beyonce's music is trash.
Oh.
All of Beyonce's music is trash.
You know what? I'm glad you went down that road. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah.
He also said something about the movie Black Panther.
He surely did.
So he goes out of his way to just kind of diss all these black entertainers.
He said it was the worst Marvel movie ever. The worst. Now, look. There's been multiple Marvel movies. Now, no matter what you feel about Black Panther, for one, I liked it.
I liked it, and it's actually, if you're just talking, I don't know, I can't. I mean, the list of Marvel movies is like so long.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it was a good movie, but to me, like if I'm ranking it, it's probably down there. I liked it.
See, for me, like I think I liked it. I think I liked it more than you. For me, it's towards the top for me.
Okay.
For me, it's towards. I don't know that it's first, but it's towards the top. I saw the End Game. That jump was that was fantastic. Okay. It was fantastic. Actually, all the Avengers movies. I love those movies. But anyway, just an objective view of the Black Panther would have you say that, man, I mean, yeah. And it's especially the type of movie it was too, because it actually, like with the antagonist, right? You know how there's certain movies where like you may be able to like feel what their gripe is or like why they are the antagonist. Like even with Thanos, like he wants to create like a more like a better society. He wants to snap away all, like half of the world's population, half of all life, not just humans, but he wants to snap off like just half of all life, period. And he thinks that will foster like a better world. People won't, like there won't be no scarcity and anything like that.
Boy, there's a lot of Thanos stands too.
Now,
look, Thanos got a following, boy.
Look, even though that junk is crazy, you can still, I guess, understand it a little bit. It's still crazy as hell, though. Like that's not something that anybody can just like.
That's extreme.
That's mad extreme. But with the Black Panther, the antagonist, Killmonger, I think more so than any other type of villain, you can really understand like what his gripe was. Even though, again, he was extreme, he was killing mugs and stuff like that, you could understand, and like when it came to the end, and like where he came from and what he's seen. like you can just understand
the trauma so early in his life,
Yes.
and he just instantly, he was born with, not necessarily born, but at such a young age, he developed a vengeful mentality.
Yeah, no doubt. But you can understand that. Again, just an objective view, you would put it at like, okay, but that was a pretty good movie. I mean, even if you say it was an average movie, but say it was the worst Marvel movie ever. You know, there's been 2 Fantastic Fours, and both were garbage. You know, there's been 2 Incredible Hulks, and both were not really good. Not really good at all. Thor 2 was not really that good. I mean, it really wasn't that good. Like, I like Thor 1. You know, Ragnarok was, I loved Ragnarok, but Thor 2 was like, it was all right. It was all right. You know, there was some stuff, but it was all right. To say that Black Panther was the worst one, well, you're trying to do something here. And it's just, I guess it's coincidental that it's, you know, a black lead character, right? He's also
isn't Guardians of the Galaxy a Marvel movie?
It is.
Guardians of the Galaxy is a Marvel movie.
It is.
Were those excellent films? I'm just saying, this seems like we have a theme here with Nick Bosa.
Yes.
And I think it kind of, it directly connects to what I mentioned about Trump being a kind of a transactional individual.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason why he likes Nick Bosa, because Nick Bosa likes him. That's what his politics is based on. It's it's like a 3rd grade level type of politics.
It is.
Oh, he
You
likes
like
me. I'm going to give
like you.
somebody preference because they like me. That's not somebody you want as a leader of your country.
I think I remember feeling that way in like 7th grade. Like a girl liked me, so I liked her.
Like her,
yeah. But I think as an adult, I don't think.
I think
like
that's a product of his like immaturity.
Yeah.
He's not mentally developed.
Yeah, exactly. I think Nick Bosa, he also on his Twitter, and by the way, he scrubbed all this, or his agents scrubbed all of this history on Twitter. But there were some other tweets where he had liked, I guess, friends of his tweets where they were, saying the N-word, and he liked those. And like I said, there's just a history, but Trump is totally fine with that history. And this is a case where he's telling Nick Bosa too in this rally to I think he
was basically saying,
be proud of MAGA. We got you. Voice whatever you want to voice. We got you, right? And I think Tommy Larver was doing the same thing. Yeah, you know what, MAGA. You know what? So it's not shut up and dribble.
Yeah, of course.
It's not shut up and dribble. It's not just stay to your profession and just stay there and don't talk politics. Don't talk about society and situations.
Oh, so you're pointing out a double standard.
Yeah.
Or some. Yeah. Okay.
You don't shut up. You talk. Okay.
Be political.
Be political. MAGA. Okay. And he's going to San Francisco, which he stated too was one of the reasons why he had to scrub his Twitter history, because he thought there was a good chance he would go to San Francisco, which San Francisco is the team that used to employ Colin Kaepernick.
Man, that's an eerie coincidence. Man, somebody is straight up playing with Bosa. The universe is playing with him big time. I think the NFL is trying to it's like, hey, yo. And they got on the phone with San Francisco, they're like, yo, man, we need something. That market sucks. San Francisco market sucks. We need something out there to bring attention to that market. Yeah, so we're gonna set it up so y'all gonna
wake him up with a story.
Wake him up with a story. We gonna y'all get Bosa. We're gonna tell all the other teams not to pick him so y'all can get him. That's gonna create some friction and controversy. But about also WorldNet now brought up Trump being a puppet.
Yeah.
I think that is taking it a little bit too far. I think that is taking it a little bit too far because
it's not an argument we would make.
It's not an argument I would make either, because I make the argument that he's a puppet to a lot of different places.
Yeah.
He's a puppet to Saudi Arabia. He's a puppet to China. He's a puppet to Israel. Yep. He's a puppet to India, because he has business dealings in all those places. I don't know about Israel, but I know about India and Saudi Arabia. And so, yeah, he is essentially a puppet in general.
He has had business dealings with Russia.
He has business dealings with Russia. But I think he's just a puppet in general, because everything about him is completely transactional. So, yeah, I mean, he's just a puppet in general. I don't think you could just pinpoint it to a specific state. We may be able to rank them. I don't think it would be incorrect to say that he's a puppet. I just think that would be incorrect to say that, that it would be incorrect to just focus on one country.
Right. And why minimize it to that when it's like you said, it's not just about this particular country, this state.
So if anything, the media is
a bigger issue.
Only making the mistake because they're not broadening it,
Right.
not because the focus is well, it's because the focus is just Russia. If they broadened it, it would be more believable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But then that it kind of would expose some hypocrisy.
Some hypocrisy.
Because there have been other presidents that were puppets of other places, well, the same places as well, and you didn't say nothing about it.
It's just in this case, the stark difference, though, and this is a significant difference, is that he has a more of a personal stake.
Yes.
He has a more personal stake, I guess, as it concerns the politics of those places.
Yes.
That's probably that's probably the difference.
Yeah, that is different.
He has a personal stake.
Because this is a businessman. You wanted a businessman. You wanted a businessman. You got a businessman. All right. I think that's all we got. We do have some
super chat.
Super chat.
Yeah, I gotta get to that.
I don't think I forgot to bring my cord in here for my computer. I think I got a little bit of juice left so I can look at this super chat here. Oh yeah, I got a little bit of juice left. So we figured out what the problem was. And that was not a problem before. You remember? That was not a problem.
No.
Not a problem. Not a problem. But anyway, so we have Calvin Darden. Great show. Where you guys been hiding? What happened? If you didn't catch it, that was at 8:37 though. I was in the midst of telling the story.
Because that was the last, because at 8:30 that was the last.
Okay, so maybe that was right before I got into it.
Yeah.
Okay, but appreciate that, Calvin. Jordan Fay, taking my humble offering. Glad you guys are back. Appreciate that, Jordan. Jeremiah, hope you get a new ride soon, man. I hope so too. The only thing is that, of course, I told you my car was a 2002. Right?
So how much he gets for it?
The value, of course, and I mean, yeah, it was in good condition, but still, the value of it is, of course, not what I need to get something that was as valuable as what I had.
As reliable.
As reliable, of
something
course.
comparable.
You can't do that with
unless
market value
of it.
Nah, you can't do that. So
it's almost like if you get it's sad because like it's almost like you can't get into an accident with an old car. You have to get into an accident with a new car, which sucks. Who wants to get an accident? I mean, nobody wants to get into an accident, period.
Exactly.
But if you had a choice,
if
you had a choice, hey, would you rather get into an accident with a newer car or an old car? You'd be like, old car. Like, preferentially. You wouldn't want to just
bust that up.
Bust your new car up.
Yeah.
But technically, financially, you'd be better off.
No doubt. No doubt, man. And like I said, my car wasn't giving me any problems. I had one major issue with it one time, but that was covered by warranty. That was like a few years after I got it. It was like I forgot even the part, but they had to replace the part. After that, I haven't had any problems with it. It's been a good ride.
Spoiled.
Yeah, over 16 years, man. I've been good with it. It was great. Anyway, but appreciate that. X-Morbid Kicks. Love y'all. Appreciate that.
We love you too. Appreciate that.
Leonessa, glad y'all are back. Appreciate that as well. Like I said, we like doing this. We love doing this for y'all. Interacting with you. It was just, hard to get it going. Like I said, no doubt, I've been in a funk, man. I'm telling you. Like I said, if I was not, in this space, like focusing on this, I'm doing nothing. A bunch of nothing. Playing silly little games on the phone.
I feel you.
Watching stupid television programs.
Doing things where you don't have to think very, very hard.
Right.
Yeah, I understand, man.
Yeah,
I've been there before, man.
So I'll show you what the car looks like, or what it looked like after the accident. If you're just curious about what the accident looked like. So here it is. That is my ride after the accident. Busted up, man. Busted up. Airbags did not deploy.
Are you serious? Oh, your car is probably old.
No, it's got dog, 2002. No airbags were. You know what I'm saying? No airbags had definitely been. In every car. And by that time, but airbags did not deploy. I had to be, at the time of impact, had to be going, because like I said, it was just like, it probably was like half a second I had to actually stop, because the problem with it too, maybe I would have had more time if I was actually in the same lane as the car that was in front of me. Because I would have seen it from this way. I would have seen that he was turning.
He was turning, yeah.
But me being in that right lane, my vision was obscured by that car. So I couldn't even see that car until he was actually right there smack dab in front of me. So all I had was just a moment to actually brake and pop. That was it.
Oh boy, I'm having flashbacks, man.
Yeah, I remember you're like even the like the descriptions of like I remember what she did was like, what?
Yeah, I know.
Like turned around, like what?
Every time I tell that story, they do like the everybody does the Scooby Doo.
That's crazy, man.
I'm like, yeah, that's what happened, son.
But yeah, it does look bad. Like I said, I'm just glad that everybody arms, limbs, everything is intact. Like I said, I got a few injuries, but I'm gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? And it could have been worse, but I am going to go forward and guess what's due.
About to say, yeah,
no
man.
doubt,
yeah,
man.
Get your paper.
Hell
Get your paper.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely doing that.
I know this is completely random. And I don't know why get your paper kind of caused this to come into my mind. Mm-hmm. Probably most of our viewers probably won't even know what I'm talking about. But did you know that Freaknik is coming back, apparently?
Are you serious?
Freaknik. I know Lisa knows about that.
Freaknik is coming back?
Yeah, I know Lisa knows about that. If she's still up in here. Freaknik, apparently. It's like...
Yo, they outlawed that junk.
I'm telling you, like, it's like...
years ago, man.
All, like, the old kind of, like... I don't know what you call it, like, booty music type stuff. Like, Raheem Madream,
I haven't
Luke.
even heard that word in, what, a decade or so? I don't even know, man. But that was a big thing, man.
Oh, shit. Who knows? Shayna knows. Stop playing no. Go look it up. They've been advertising it, too. I'm like, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go. Because, see, most of the people who know about Freaknik are probably like 35, 45, 50. Yeah. So there's going to be a bunch of, because that type of music, it's a lot of movement involved.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of like broken hips and busted kneecaps.
But see,
you know what I'm saying?
But look, you know what's all the rage today, though? It's twerking.
Well, you do sound with all the rage today.
I'm just saying. That's all the rage, man.
See,
there was always twerking, but
exactly.
Now they got
I think
a
it's
name.
social media.
Now they got a name.
I think
twerking.
Like it was See, that's something. It was always a thing. It just wasn't popularized. Mm-hmm. Social media just popularized.
Exactly. They put a name on it.
Put a name on it.
And a whole lot of white people are doing it too. So I mean, that's. I'm just saying. A whole lot of white people are doing it. Instagram, boy, like if you just check out Instagram.
So maybe maybe it's a good Freaknik revival. Maybe
I guess in 2019 it's
I mean,
appropriate.
I'll just I'll just watch people's live streams of it. I don't think I can get that close to something like that. My mind is not there.
Oh, I ain't going.
I know it's going to be a hella debauchery.
Oh, yeah. Scandalous.
Scandalous. I'll just watch some live streams and I'm fine with that.
Jordan's like, he's only 25. Nah, man, you don't know about it then. Do some research.
Do some research.
I'm sure there's some pictures.
Oh, no. There's some pictures. Oh, yeah. Freaknik. Ooh.
Freaknik, man. Yeah, man. Damn, put Mardi Gras to shame.
Mardi Gras ain't got shit on Freaknik.
Put it to shame, man. But all right, man. That's all we got today. I don't think we have any other patrons on patreon.com. I don't believe. Maybe it wouldn't even make sense. We haven't been on for like 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, I know.
I don't believe we have any new patrons. But definitely want to give a shout out to all of our patrons on patreon.com for, funding us, giving us your money. Some of your money, no matter how much it is, doing that consistently every month. We appreciate that. If you do want to become a patron of ours, it's easy to do so. It's just patreon.com/LTMB. Very simple.
We ain't even got to spell it out.
Yeah, just LTMB, man. See, and we would have, we would have put LTMB on a lot of other things, but of course it was taken. Twitter, can't do that. It was taken. Even our URL on YouTube couldn't put LTMB. Somebody already had it, even though it had nothing on the channel. Couldn't even do Let the Madness Begin. Had to do Let the Madness Begin HQ.
HQ.
Yeah, because that was taken too. But yeah, easy to do so. But anyway, that's all we have for you guys tonight. We'll be back on Thursday. Oh yeah, give a shout out to all of our callers tonight as well. Gabriel, Andrew, Jordan, and World Debt Now. We appreciate you calling in and you know, giving us something to talk about, providing us with questions, commentary, you know, adding to the stream. We appreciate that. Hope you call in again. Anything else?
Nah, man, I do think it's interesting that we really didn't, you notice we really didn't talk about a lot this show. We just kind of
went in depth on
Joe Biden.
Yeah, Joe Biden.
But see, we were, you know, it's been a while since we did a show and he announced, so we had a lot of catching up to do.
We did.
You know what I'm
and
saying?
Look, there's been a lot of other things that happened throughout these 2 weeks too that we haven't been able to address, and we won't be able to.
Probably will.
It's just too much.
Just too much.
Even after 5 days of not being on, there's too much to address. So 2 weeks is,
There may be a few things we can pick out that aren't time sensitive that might want to update on, but yeah, most of the stuff is just like, it wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah. And I'll try my hardest to be focused on what we're doing here, man. I know tomorrow, first thing I got to call some attorneys, or I got to find one attorney. I don't know how long that process is gonna be, but I got to find somebody that'll help me. So hopefully I can actually get help, and I can kind of, okay, somebody's here to help me. Okay, they got things in motion. I don't got to be concerned. I have to do this myself.
That would kind of like alleviate some of the pressure.
Just a little bit, man. Just, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, like I don't, luckily, I have some funds where I can, you pay for the things that I have been paying for.
Mm-hmm.
But nah, man, you need to come up off of that. Now I'm trying to get my money back straight up. But anyway, everybody, be careful out there. Stay safe. Do something that makes you smile. And we will be back on Thursday.
For sure.
All right. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Appreciate everybody, and peace out.
Damn, son. Switch. Nick.